All heavens. Pick up cards starting from Naruto. Chapter 81. How is that possible? Staring at the morning sky blankly, Ching spat out a mouthful of old blood and felt his eyes darken. He is just a child less than 10 years old, why does he have such a huge chakra? Until now, Qingyan still has chakra that is as dazzling as the sun. Even the 5 shadows present can't compare with Chenshin. Looking at the dumbfounded Qing in confusion, Chen Tian hurriedly left the room, fearing that dementia would be contagious. The spectator seats were already in a state of excitement. I didn't expect Lord Chenshin to be so strong, defeating an elite Junin with just one move. Yeah, that Chengdu didn't even react, he was seriously injured and flew out of the ring. Looking at his expression before, he looked down on Lord Chenshin, but now he knows how powerful he is. People in the Fire Nation breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Chen Tian was not embarrassed, and they all spoke louder afterwards. As a result, people in other countries will be unhappy. We all want to see you embarrassed, but you kill us instantly. This Chenshin is somewhat capable, but he is still far from the other cage-level experts, so he can only bully Jonin. That is, among the 16 shadow-level experts this time, he is ranked 16th at most, and he is definitely no match for others. How can you be so proud of a shadow-level strongman who bullies a Jonin and does it so harshly? These people's weird words made the people of the Fire Country itchy and wanted to smash their mouths. You guys fart, Lord Chenshin will definitely get a good result. Even if it doesn't work this time, who in your village can resist Lord Chenshin in a few years? I think you are just jealous. We in the Fire Nation are better than you. If you don't accept it, bite me. Having said that, even these people don't think Chenshin can defeat other shadow-level powerhouses. Now it's just a tough talk and trying to make a fool of yourself. For a time, the atmosphere between the audience from the Fire Country and other countries became tense. They glared at each other, and no one was convinced by the other. At the VIP table of the 5 great powers, maids kept bringing fresh fruit and food one after another. The daimyo of the Land of Fire pointed at the ring and complained, "Look, Konoha is so powerful now, I have no say at all." But his face was full of pride, just showing off the power of his country. Although the other 4 daimyo were furious, they could only break their teeth and swallow. Who told them to force the Fire Country daimyo to return the population last time? Now they are pretending to be used to it. What can you do? HMPH, don't be complacent. That Chenshin is just pretending now. When the shadow level fights later, he won't be able to last even one round. The daimyo of the Kingdom of Thunder snorted angrily, his tone full of disdain for Chen Tian. Then let's make a bet. Let's bet on whether Chenshin can win the first game. How about blocking 100 million? Playing with the emerald ring on his thumb, the Fire Country daimyo's half-smiling expression immediately angered the other 4. I bet he can't do it. I bet he can't do it either. And me too, it's only 100 million, which is nothing to a few big names. For the sake of their own face, they take action without any hesitation. Chen Tian has sharp ears and eyes, so tens of thousands of people can naturally hear his discussion clearly. Before he could get angry, the little guy Uchiha Itachi came to him in a flash and said, "Lord Chenshin, how dare they say that to you? You must defeat those people and get first place." The look of anger on that little face made Chen Tian couldn't help laughing, and he almost laughed out loud. After Chen Tian improved the relationship between Uchiha and Konoha, there was naturally no such bad blood between the 2 parties. Itachi didn't have to be exposed to those things since he was a child, so he still maintained the innocence of a child. Other than the Uchiha clan members and Konoha villagers, his only identity now is that of Chenshin's die-hard fan. Although the battle between Chenshin and Qing caused quarrels among the audience, it did not affect the subsequent games. After they left, the next group of contestants came on stage one after another, and the winner was determined continuously. Whenever a ninja from his own country takes the stage, the audience will burst into cheers, and the atmosphere is extremely warm. But in the subsequent competition, no Junin could make waves. This is somewhat unsatisfactory, and I am looking forward to tomorrow's competition even more. In fact, in the ring, it is not that no one wants to kill someone. After all, the war only ended a few years ago, and the hatred is still engraved in their bones. However, With the shadows of the 5 major ninja villages united to suppress them, these people naturally did not dare to continue. The 5 shadows are all smart people and know that now is not the time to fall out. And isn't all hatred and the like because of interests. Even if you lose the battle, you can still reduce the population and reduce the village's consumption a lot. Chen Tian waited for the end of the game with little interest, but Terumi Miku suddenly came over. Brother, do you want to come to our Ying village? Whatever you want, my sister can grant you. Ignoring Ao's wildly suggestive eyes as he was being treated by Tsunade, Terumi Mei blinked at Chenshin with a peach-like expression. HMPH. Throwing the almost recovered Ao out, Tsunade instantly stood between Terumi Mei and Asuka, not giving the two a chance to look at each other. Chen Tian is the treasure of Konoha. This woman actually wants to kidnap him. Simply unforgivable. Kushina also rushed over without saying a word, fighting side by side with Tsunade, glaring at Mei Terumi together. Shaoshin is doing well in Konoha. If you have the time, you might as well find a way to get married. Hands folded across her chest, Tsunade was actually pretty, and she cast a disdainful glance at Terumi Mei's chest. Although Terumi Mei is not bad, compared to her, she is not good enough. Little sparks quickly appeared on the top of Terumi Mei's head, and she gritted her teeth and said, "You old woman, what did you say?" "I am an old woman, you are an older leftover girl who cannot get married." Chen Tian glanced at the two of them helplessly and sighed in a pretentious manner. Then he watched happily. Aren't women's fights the most beautiful thing? What's more, these are two beauties with perfect looks and figures, so thank you for not looking at them. As for what kind of arena or competition, I don't know what it is. This is not good, this is not good. I will break up the fight when I'm done. I am the 5th young man in the new century, and I must act bravely. Despite these thoughts, the expectant expression made everyone fall silent. Is this really a child? The little episode passed quickly, and Chen Tian did not see what he expected to happen. Boy, I enjoyed watching it a lot. Do you want to come to my mother's house to watch it tonight? After Terumi Mei left, Tsunade looked at the morning sky with amorous feelings. But in those charming big eyes, Chen Tian felt a trace of killing intent. Bang! Without waiting for Chen Tian's reply, Tsunade punched him the head. Boy, remember, this woman is not simple, stay away from him in the future. I know. I just came here to test you. I know it. Touching the rapidly protruding bump on the top of his head, Chen Tian held his head and grinned, with a painful expression on his face, and almost shed tears. Hearing this, Tsunade was surprised for a moment, and then returned to normal. I keep hinting to myself that this kid is a pervert, I can't compare with him, I can't compete with him. Forgetting her strength, she actually showed off her character today. It was a shame that she came to rescue him. Watching the whole day's competition with lack of interest, all the 16 shadow-level experts who started at the end were promoted, and none of them failed. The next round of drawing will begin after the game. Game 1. Tsunade vs Hiruzen Sarutobi. Second match. Rosa vs Jiraiya. Game 3. Kurabi vs Kushina. Game 4. Orochimaru vs Minato. Game 5. Terumi Mei vs Lao Zi. Game 7. Onoki vs Fugaku Uchiha. Game 8. I vs Chenshin. After knowing his match, Chenshin strolled home and continued to master the Rasengan's promotion ninjutsu. When all the major ninja villages gathered, the Akatsuki organization took this opportunity to launch its operations. There are no strong men guarding the 5 great ninja villages, so it is as easy as going home for them. On the 4th day before the start of the Ninja Dao conference, Black Zetsu brought the complete information back to the Akatsuki organization. It was confirmed that there were no powerful ninjas in the major ninja villages, and the fledgling Akatsuki organization immediately showed its power. Kakuzu, you go to Sheing village and bring Ikibi back. You have to be fast. You must come back before Luasha and others return. Kisame, the 5 Tails has also left Konoha. Wait for him on the way to Iwakage village and bring him back. The Nanao is left to you, Deidara. You can fly and are the fastest, so it's best to go with you. As for Vulpix, Scorpion, you go for a run. After saying that, the Rinnegan in Nagato's eyes showed a hint of pressure, full of warning. Okay, I will complete the task. Ha ha ha, explosion is art, I will use my art to bring him back. Ikiwei seems to be a child. There is no bounty on his head, so I'll reluctantly go there. With different expressions, several people left the Kingdom of Rain and headed towards their goals. Alas, there are too few manpower, otherwise it would be most appropriate to let them work in pairs. Nagato sighed helplessly. Conan asked doubtfully, Nagato, didn't we decide to stay dormant for a few years? Why are you taking action now? This is different from what was discussed before, and Nagato didn't tell him, so he made his own decision. The strangest thing is that before this meeting, Nagato had no such idea. But after the meeting started, he made a series of arrangements that were difficult to understand. There are only two reasons for Nagato to do this. One is that he doesn't trust himself anymore, so he does it deliberately. The second one is external influence, which made him suddenly change his original plan. Thinking of this, Xiaonan felt vaguely uneasy, wondering what the future would be like. Now that the major ninja villages are empty, this is our best chance to capture the four-tailed beasts. The remaining five-tailed beasts are all in Konoha. We are temporarily unable to capture them, so we can only let them go first. When my Samsara Eye is fully developed, I will be this and no one can stop me from collecting the remaining tailed beasts. Soon, very soon, quote. Covering his eyes, the fanatical look on Nagato's face made Conan a little scared. Konoha doesn't know yet about the Akatsuki organization, and everyone's hearts are focused on the upcoming competition. Tsunade and Hiruzen Sarutobi have already entered the field. There are enough contestants in Konoha to match the number of people in the battle, and there is nothing they can do about running into each other. Old man, I won't be polite. I have a grudge to retaliate today. Tsunade always had anger in her heart towards Sarutobi Hiruzen. The demise of the Senju clan definitely had a lot to do with him, and he knew almost all of Danzo's sneaky things. If it weren't for Kushina, she would never have been able to return to Konoha. Now that she has the opportunity to take revenge openly, Tsunade will naturally not show mercy, as long as she is not beaten to death. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a bitter smile. I have done a lot of wrong things before. Today you and I, master and disciple, will fight with all our strength. Strange punch. With a proud cry, Tsunade's delicate fist hit Sarutobi Hiruzen's face mercilessly. To escape, to Lubi. The name Dr. Ninjutsu is not for nothing. Hiruzen Sarutobi struck very quickly and blocked Tsunade's fist in an instant. The petite fist was not worth mentioning in front of the earth flow wall, but with this fist left behind, the earth flow wall instantly fell into pieces. Looking at the fierce fight between the two, Jiraiya's eyes twitched in the competition seat. This was too cruel. But when I think about what will happen after provoking Tsunade, I feel that this is reasonable. Hooked Chenshin with his elbow and asked, Shaoshin, who do you think will win, Tsunade or the teacher? Hearing this, Orochimaru, Uchiha Fugaku and others also turned their heads and looked at him, obviously equally curious about this. Tsunade. After a pause, Chen Tian explained, after all, the third generation is older and his strength has declined a lot. Tsunade is officially at her peak and has more chakra, so she should win. That's what he said, but Chen Tian didn't think so in his heart. Tsunade is of the bloodline of Senju, who is one of the bloodlines of the Six-Path Sage, and Sandai is an ordinary person with no special bloodline. Comparing this, Tsunade is from the Otsutsuki family, but the third generation is not. Don't you know that Naruto is also called the intrigue of the Otsutsuki family? How could an ordinary person defeat Tsunade in the third generation? However, I can only say this in my heart, and it is impossible to tell others. As expected, the battle lasted for more than half an hour, and Tsunade smashed all the ninjutsu of the third generation. In the end, all the three generations of chakra were exhausted, and Tsunade punched the old face. By the time he landed, Sandai had already fainted. The nose on his old face was sunken, and he looked quite miserable. Huh, it's so cool. Let out a breath of bad breath, Tsunade felt relaxed all over, and her health was better than ever. After Tsunade stepped down, Konoha Anbu hurriedly came over, performing earth escape ninjutsu one by one as if they were free of charge, and tried their best to repair the arena. After the battle between the third generation and Tsunade, the originally luxurious arena was in pieces and could not be seen as it was. These dark parts are busy, but the audience around them is excited. When had they ever seen a battle like this? Especially Tsunade's fist-to-fist fight, which completely stimulated these people's hormones. It was so exciting. Involuntarily, these people became more and more excited and looked forward to the next battle. You are so amazing, Xiaoshan, you guessed it right. Next is my battle, come on for me. Patting Chen Tian on the shoulder, Jiraiya walked out very boldly and gave Orochimaru a sullen look. There is no interest in this battle in the morning, and these people are definitely one of these people at the scene. Luo Sha is the top of the countdown, there is nothing to look good. Chenshin even doubted that if Jiraiya exerted his full strength, only Raikage could fight head-on. Other than that, Minato, who can fly the Thunder God, comes to entangle Jiraiya, otherwise he is invincible. Of course, all this excludes Morning Sky. As expected by Chen Tian, Jiraiya walked back leisurely after only 10 minutes, and kept giving Orochimaru provocative looks. As if to say, I've won, what about you? The third game is Kurabi vs Kushina. This is the battle that Chen Tian is most looking forward to. Which one is more powerful, the 8-tailed Jinchuriki or the 9-tailed Jinchuriki, will be revealed soon. However, this battle disappointed Chen Tian. Kushina did not use the power of the 9 tails at all. After taking the stage, he cast the King Kong blockade without saying a word, and without saying a word, he wrapped Kurabi into a rice dumpling with 8 shining golden chains. The King Kong blockade is extremely restrained to tailed beasts. Even the 9 tails has no ability to struggle in front of Kushina, let alone the 8 tails. Chiarabi, who used the 8-tailed chakra, fell into the hands of Kushina. This battle can be said to be the fastest, taking less than a minute including getting on and off the stage. Chen Tian smiled bitterly and shook his head, how could he forget such an important thing? Lao Zi, who was not far away from him, witnessed Kurabi's tragic situation with his own eyes. He looked at Kushina who was striding forward, with fear in his eyes. Being chained in front of tens of thousands of people, and it will spread throughout the ninja world later, then he will be socially dead. I secretly pray in my heart that I will not meet Kushina, or that I will lose this game on purpose. Fourth game, Orochimaru vs Minato. When the two men came on the field, the spectators' seats suddenly erupted in unprecedented cheers, and the atmosphere was extremely high. This was also a belated battle. When the fourth Hokage was elected before, there should have been a battle between the two, but it has been delayed until now. So far, the battle between these two people can be said to be the most enjoyable to watch. Orochimaru's various novel ninjutsus that have never been seen before are one after another, which makes people dazzled. Minato's flying thunder is so amazing that he can be seen in every corner of the arena, and the eyes of the audience can't keep up with his speed. Minato's Rasengan hit Orochimaru many times, but Orochimaru's substitution technique restored him to his original state time and time again. And Orochimaru's ninjutsu is powerful, but he can't hit Minato. The two of them were in a stalemate, and neither could do anything about the other. If we keep fighting like this, we'll see who has more chakra. Shaking his head, Chen Tian expressed his helplessness towards the two of them. You can't kill one, and you can't kill the other. What can you do? The two people on the field naturally saw this situation. Just when Minato was about to admit defeat, Orochimaru took the lead and said, "Referee, I admit defeat." Ever since Chenshin taught him science, Orochimaru no longer cares about victory or defeat. And he also has feelings for Konoha, where he has his friends, teammates, teachers and friends. Minato, as Hokage, cannot lose like this, at least not so quickly, so it is most appropriate for him to admit defeat. Seeing Orochimaru's choice, Chen Tian showed a happy smile on his lips, and the dimples he raised were very cute. It was not in vain that he had indoctrinated Orochimaru for so many years, Orochimaru had indeed changed. Game 5, Terumi Mei vs Lao Zi. The result of this match was unexpected. The beautiful new Mizukage Terumi Mei actually defeated the Jinchuriki Lao Murasaki. It is an eye-opener for one person to have two blood inheritance boundaries. Especially the individual water shadows are so beautiful and moving that the audience can't bear to blink. But those who knew about it all looked at Chenshin. He seemed to have the largest blood lineage, right? Although they are not commonly used, as far as they know, there are at least 5 kinds. Chenshin naturally saw the looks in these people's eyes, and he smiled and stopped paying attention to them. After winning, Terumi Mei once walked to Chen Tian with elegant steps, but was stopped by Tsunade again. It's helpless, wouldn't it be better for you two to sit on one side? Why do you have to squeeze together? My heart was full of regrets, but Chen Tian's face remained upright and he didn't think about anything. Game 7. Onoki vs Fugaku Uchiha. This battle was the most noisy, and some spectators even backed away out of fear. Onoki's dust release is the most lethal attack in existence, and almost nothing can resist it. Uchiha Fugaku summoned Susanoo, and the skeleton that was 30 or 40 meters high was also very scary. Especially Onoki, his hind legs softened a little after seeing Susanoo, remembering the fear Uchiha Madara had brought to him. After the fierce battle between the two, the original arena had disappeared, leaving only a deep pit. In the end, Onoki's dust release penetrated Uchiha Fugaku's Susanoo, and barely won. Susanoo has a total of 4 stages. Fugaku is only in the 2nd stage now, so it is not surprising that he lost. If he can go further, he should be able to beat the little old man Onoki. The game has progressed so far, and only the last game of IVS Chenshin is left. Although the final battle has not started yet, because the ninjas are repairing the arena. But these ninjas are no longer afraid of Konoha. Of the 8 shadow level experts in Konoha, even if Chen Tian is a parallel importer, none of them can be underestimated. If placed in another village, this time each person can become a shadow and rule the entire village. But in Konoha, there are so many such people, it's simply terrifying. Looking across the faces of Jiraiya, Minato, Kushina, Uchiha Fugaku, Orochimaru, Tsunade and Sarutobi Hiruzen, everyone felt heavy. Chen Tian touched his nose awkwardly. Am I being ignored? There is only one last game left in the 16-8 games, which is the battle between Chenshin and Reikage. This battle can be said to be a highly anticipated one. Reikage is one of the strongest among the 5 shadows. And Chen Tian's reputation is no weaker than his, and is even stronger. He is so legendary, his strength is completely unreasonable, and no one can believe it. It's finally the last game. Whether Chen Tian is strong or weak will soon be revealed. He is definitely going to lose. Reikage is the top 2 strongest among the 5 shadows. It is impossible for Chenshin to be close to him. It will be good if he can withstand a few moves. I think so. If it were someone other than Reikage and Hokage, he might have a chance, but when he meets these 2 people, tisk tisk. Fortunately, I didn't win against Chenshin, otherwise I would have lost all my money. No one is optimistic about Chen Tian, and no one thinks he can defeat Lei Ying. The next is the last game. IVS Chenshin, please come on. As the referee's voice sounded, Chenshin and Lei Ying looked at each other and stood up. But at this moment, ninjas from all countries came to their shadows and said something in their ears. What, you said Gaara was taken away? Rosa was shocked when she heard Maji's words. Gaara is his son. Although he doesn't care about this son, he cares about the tailed beast in Gaara. Onoki, who behaved similarly to him, also had an angry look on his face. The 4-tailed old purple was still here, but the 5-tailed man was kidnapped halfway. This is not taking their village seriously. Reikage, Minato and Terumi Mei looked at each other, wondering what happened and why Rosa and Onoki were so angry. Hokage, did you do this? Onoki slapped his hands on the table, his old face filled with murderous intent. Konoha asked them to come to some kind of ninja tournament. After they left, the village was attacked and all the tailed beasts were killed. But the Jinchuriki who came to Konoha did not encounter attacks, so there was no problem. Even Rosa, who was allied with Konoha, looked at Minato with suspicion at this time. What exactly happened? Please tell me first. After calming down Chen Tian, Orochimaru and others who burst out with momentum, Minato had the opportunity to ask. Mainly because Chenshin was unhappy with Onoki's appearance of relying on his old age, Orochimaru and others naturally supported him after he exploded with momentum. Onoki's face was extremely ugly, but seeing the large number of people in Konoha, he did not dare to make any mistakes. The 5-tailed Jinchuriki of our village was kidnapped after leaving Konoha. Does it have anything to do with you? There is also our Sand Shadow village. My son was kidnapped in the village. He is a Jinchuriki. Rosha was not to be outdone, her anxiety was palpable, and everyone could see it clearly. Hearing this, the way Reikage and Mizukage looked at Minato also changed. The two Jinchuriki of Cloud Shadow Village are here. The tailed beast of the Kingdom of Water was captured by Konoha a few years ago. This is a well-known thing. Could it be that Konoha is now so powerful that it wants to take back all the tailed beasts distributed by the first Hokage? As soon as this idea came up, the ninjas from the 4 countries approached faintly, ready to work together to deal with Minato and others. They have seen the strength of Konoha. At this time, they have no other choice but to join forces. After all, this is Konoha. Looking at the little actions of these people, Minato smiled helplessly, not knowing how to explain it. Now that Konoha has the right time, place and people, no matter what you say, these people will not believe it. Tianchi, this is the time when Konoha has the most people, almost all ninjas are there. The geographical location is favorable, this is Konoha, and the total number of ninjas from other countries is only over 100, which is no different from a drop of water in the ocean. That's what I think, but what needs to be explained still needs to be explained. But no matter what Minato says, these people have the same expression. I don't believe it unless I leave Konoha now. Looking at Minato's earnest words, Kushina felt a little distressed and couldn't help but hold Chen Tian's little hand. Sensing Kushina's mood, Chen Tian was unhappy. He slapped the table with a pop, and stood up suddenly and said, "Are you stupid or are you stupid? Are you the only ones worth our plotting?" After giving them a disdainful look, Chen Tian continued, "First of all, Yunying village. A few of us almost wiped out you last time. If we want the tailed beast, we have already taken it. Why wait until now? Iwakage village, you are not weak, but apart from the old immortal Onoki, what else do you have? 10,000 ninjas will kill the third Raikage. Come on, you can kill us all. I'm too lazy to talk about Shaying village. Why don't you, Konoha, have any idea? Just pick any of the 8 people standing here and see if they can destroy half of your village. The Kurikage village is the most interesting. One of your tailed beasts ran away, and the remaining one was sealed in the body of the Konoha ninja by you. Now you are so vigilant. You only have size and no brains." Chenshin was a little talkative, and he called the names of the 4 major villages one by one, making these people's faces as black as the bottom of a pot. Kushina, Tsunade and others stared at the morning sky with their mouths open, as if they had seen a new continent. Having known each other for so long, how come they didn't know that Chen Tian's little mouth was so powerful? Swearing is just for exposing shortcomings. After saying this, Chen Tian's depression suddenly decreased a lot. I wonder who Minato and Kushina are the same family. If they are unhappy, don't even think about it. Even Chen Tian has thought about it. If these people continue to work hard, he will leave them all here. Forget about Konoha unifying the ninja world. At worst, he will come if he works harder. Seeing Chen Tian's eyes clearly showing murderous intent, Orochimaru, Tsunade and others who had already agreed to the battle line with Chen Tian around them were wise and did not continue to speak. But he kept cursing secretly in his heart. Among the 8 cage level experts in Konoha, except for Minato, Jiraiya and Shinny, why did everyone else listen to this little brat? They are not really mentally retarded. There was no specific information from the village before, so they suspected that Konoha should do it. But after being scolded by Chen Tian, they also reacted. The current Konoha is a little weaker than when Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara were around, and it is already considered the second strongest. If Konoha really wants the tailed beasts, only if they unite can they have some resistance. But the biggest possibility is to be caught by Konoha in one fell swoop. Konoha has no need to do this. Understanding is understanding, but being insulted by a child made everyone's faces turn red. Had it not been for the overwhelming number of people on the other side, they would have wanted to let Chen Tian know why the flowers were so red. After seeing these people stabilize, Chen Tian knew that it was no longer appropriate to continue the competition. Since it had nothing to do with him, he was too lazy to chat with these people and returned home alone. After Chen Tian left, the atmosphere at the scene actually eased a bit. Minato handed over the issues of the conference to Kakashi and returned to the Hokage's office with Raikage, Mizukage and others. If you have anything to do, please tell me quickly. We have to rush back to the village. Although those people have left, who knows whether they will come back and fight back. These shadows can't wait to return and deal with these matters personally. Minato didn't waste any time and said on the spot, "It's like this. When Kushina gave birth, there was also a person wearing a black-red cloud costume who came to cause trouble. They released the 9 tails. So, I think they are the ones who plundered the tailed beasts. According to our intelligence, this is an organization. We don't know how many people there are at the moment. Chenshin did not tell Minato these things, so what Minato knew was based on his own investigation, and there was not much information. But these words are enough to make other shadows cautious. When the Jinchuriki was produced, Konoha must have arranged enough manpower, not to mention that the 9-tailed Jinchuriki was still the Hokage's wife. Even in this case, those people released the 9 tails, and its power can be imagined. I wonder if Mr. Hokage has any other information. Reikage tapped his index finger on the table, his tone becoming more polite. I don't know the specific information, but the man himself admitted that he was Uchiha Madara. But he died in the hands of Chenshin in the end, which shows that what he said was untrue. Looking at the sudden change of color on everyone's faces, Minato continued, although I don't know who the other party is, their purpose is self-evident, otherwise they are tailed beasts. After telling everything he knew, Minato quietly observed everyone's faces. After hearing Uchiha Madara's name, several people showed a hint of fear on their faces. Knowing that it was a fake, they relaxed again. We will continue to investigate this matter after we return to the village. No matter who the other party is, they will definitely pay the price. Now that Sand Shadow Village and Kirigage Village have lost their tailed beasts, how about we work together to protect the remaining Jinchuriki? Seeing that everyone was almost chatting, Minato finally revealed his purpose. These villages are not enough to protect their own tailed beasts, so Minato wants to take the initiative to provide help to prevent the secret organization from continuing to act. It's a pity that he thought too well. Don't worry, Hokage Dono, we can protect the Jinchuriki of our own village ourselves. Oh, our Yanying village is very powerful, but it's just been taken advantage of. How can we be afraid of people who are just hiding their heads and showing their tails? Reikage and Iwakage refused. Although Rosa and Terumi didn't speak, their meaning was very obvious. Now that the matter here is over, I'll leave first. As soon as the words fell, these people couldn't wait to leave Konoha and return to their village at full speed. Although Minato was helpless, he didn't say much. Anyway, the 3 tails and 9 tails were in Konoha, so there was no need to worry. After receiving this news, Chen Tian smiled and shook his head. These people have not realized the seriousness of the matter yet. But he didn't want to continue to care about these things. Behind the scenes, the Immortal of 6 Paths was causing trouble, and he didn't have the strength to stop him. It is better to concentrate on improving your own strength, and after the system upgrade is completed, your strength will be raised to the 6th level. No matter what the Immortal of 6 Paths wants to do or what he secretly plans, just press him to the ground and rub him. All major ninja villages have left, and the Ninja Dao conference cannot continue. Although the audience is a little dissatisfied, no one dares to cause trouble. After Konoha announced the news, they left one after another. In the Akatsuki organization, Nagato expressed great satisfaction when he saw the members returning home with great achievements. A group of people worked day and night for 12 days, and finally sucked all the tailed beasts into the heretic demon. Subsequently, everyone was divided into parts according to Nagato's order and distributed throughout the ninja world to prevent all major ninja villages from being caught in one fell swoop. He himself is trying his best to develop the eyes of Samsara. As long as he completely masters this eye of God, he will be a real god, and he will be directly admitted to Konoha when the time comes. After the shadows of the 4 great ninja villages returned, they immediately sent a large number of people to inquire about the news. Although some clues were found, there was no substantial gain. In this way, time began to pass day after day, and since that day, Chenshin lived alone above the Huiying Rock, never leaving once. During this period, he learned all the powerful ninjutsu in the original work and practiced it to a good level. All developments of the Rasengan were under control, and there was no delay in the follow-up development of Chidori. Other than these, in Konoha's Book of Seals, except for the sealing of zombies, there is no ninjutsu that he does not know. Most importantly, perhaps because of Chen Tian's strength, the blood chakra eye was automatically upgraded to the 3 Magatama. According to his own guess, Chen Tian felt that he had reached the limit of the shadow level. The system panel cannot be viewed after the system upgrade, so Chenshin is not very sure. Realizing that he had no room for improvement in a short period of time, he gave up the idea of cultivating and concentrated on farming. Except for the occasional visit from Minato Kushina, Kakashi Metkai and others, almost no one in Konoha can see the morning sky. As time went by, Chen Tien almost became a legend in Konoha, and gradually there was nothing else to talk about. In this way, 3 years passed quickly. In the past 3 years, Konoha has achieved considerable development, and the Thunder Carriage in Boruto has connected the entire Fire Country. Children of Itachi Uchiha's generation also grew up, and Itachi, who graduated early, became the new #1 genius in Konoha's reputation. In addition, the 5 major countries tried their best to pursue it, but they did not find any intelligence about the Akatsuki organization. Chenshin didn't even have to guess. Heizetsu and Nagato couldn't do all this. It was obviously the old ghost of Six Paths who was behind it. Of course, the most important thing is that the 5-year-old and the youngest of the 12 powerful Konoha 12 are almost time to go to school. But it is a pity that among these 12, Naruto was brought by Kushina and met several times, while Chen Tien has never seen the others. Little Naruto is different from the original work. There is no 9 tails to disturb his chakra. Little Naruto is an out-and-out little genius. At only 4 years old, he has already extracted chakra and is learning the 3-body technique with Kushina. This day, I got up early in the morning and sat in the yard waiting excitedly. 3 years have passed, and today is the day when the system wakes up. After 3 years of growth, Chenshin is no longer the child he was back then. Although he is only over 11 years old, he is already 1.65 meters tall, and his cute face has begun to change, becoming more handsome. I waited and waited until noon when the system prompt suddenly sounded. Ding, the system upgrade is completed. Stupid host, have you thought about this system? Ha, he chuckled. This broken system still remembers the things he was criticized by me before upgrading. It must be too stingy. But to be honest, Chen Tien was terrified after crossing over. It was because the system accompanied him all the way and gave him the opportunity to become stronger. So Chenshin has long regarded the system as one of his family members. How could he be angry because of such a joke? Dog system, you've been sleeping for 3 years, I thought you were dead. Seeing the system wake up, Chen Tien was no longer in a hurry to check, but wanted to chat with the system. This conversation lasted until the evening. After eating 3 large bowls of rice happily, Chen Tien said, "Tell me about your upgraded abilities." After the system upgrade, it still only has the ability to pick up cards. I didn't expect it, and there are many restrictions. There was a hint of ridicule in the system's voice, as if it wanted to see Chen Tien deflated. But he was disappointed. Chen Tien's expression did not change, and he could only explain dejectedly, "When you were weak, this system used its own energy to support you, so you could pick up cards at will. But now that you have become stronger, the system does not have that much energy to provide, and the system cannot open a small stove for you. You can only follow the rules. From now on, anyone whose strength is 1 level weaker than yours will not be able to drop cards. The drop rate of cards of the same level as yours is only half. The stronger you are, the greater the chance of dropping cards." Quote, I already knew this. Please show me the new system panel to see if it meets my requirements. Chenshin's expression did not change at all. He had already guessed what the system said before. Before traveling through time, he read a lot of system novels, but he had never seen any system like his own. If he ruthlessly kills people all over the world, then his strength must be unparalleled. And at the beginning, as long as someone fights, cards will be dropped, and later you have to kill them yourself. With this series of changes, the system requirements have become more and more demanding. It is completely opposite to the system in the novel, which is very suspicious. But after 3 years of thinking, Chen Tien knew that it was because his strength was getting stronger and stronger, and the system could no longer afford it. Those things before were done by the system by overdrafting its own power in order to make him stronger quickly. Because Chen Tien clearly remembered that the system told him once when he was chatting with the system. This system is just a low-level product. It does not have the ability to travel across worlds. It can only become stronger in this world. What is the upper limit of Naruto world? 6 levels. So when Chenshin reaches the 6 paths level, although the system will not leave, it will not be able to help him at all. The 6 paths are the limit of the system, unless he can travel to other worlds, but the system itself does not have that function, let alone Chenshin. While he was thinking wildly, the system said proudly, "This time the system panel is completely customized according to your requirements. There is also an opportunity to modify it by yourself. How about it? I'm pretty good, right?" Host: Chenshin. Physical strength: Elite Jonin. Sword skills: Swordsman. Physical skills: 8 gates Dunjia. Ninjutsu: Ninjutsu 1689 types, Genjutsu 1100 types, Sealing Jutsu 368 types, Medical Ninjutsu 123 types. Strength: Peak of Shadow level. Note: please click to view details. After checking all these options, Chen Tian nodded with satisfaction. All blood inheritance boundaries are classified into ninjutsu according to their effects, including the blood wheel eye. This page is clean and crisp, and well divided into categories. It is easy to check whatever he wants, and it fully meets his requirements. Yes, you performed very well this time. Chen Tian rarely praised the system. But instead of being happy, the system said very depressedly, "This is my last upgrade. After you reach the 6th level, I will have no other functions except the system panel." Hearing this, Chenshin was also silent for a while, not knowing what to say. Don't say that the system does not have the ability to travel through the world. Even if it did, he would not leave while Kushina and Minato were still alive. Systematic matters can only wait until he is old, but will he be able to leave this world at that time? Even if you leave, are you old enough to help the system continue to be upgraded? The system wants to upgrade, which is completely based on its continuous improvement. Only after your own strength has improved to a certain stage, the system will be upgraded. Thinking of this, Chen Tian suddenly became a little irritable, and quickly dismissed all these thoughts and quickly calmed down. Turned to the system and asked, "How should I improve my strength now? Is there any good plan?" According to the information in the host's memory, it is best to let nature take its course at the moment. The host's best chance will be after the 4th war begins. The host is already the most powerful now, and there are only a few shadow levels that can explode the cards. After 4 battles, the host can use the Akatsuki organization and the powerful men reincarnated in the dirt to elevate themselves to the peak of the super shadow level. And with Madara Uchiha, Kagaya and Sage of the 6 paths, as well as the person who may replace Obito, there are 4 full levels of 6 paths that can explode the cards. Quote: after discussing with the system all night, Chenshin also determined how to take the next step. According to the system's advice, we should stay put now and give our enemies some room to grow. This is also to prevent Lu Dao from coming out and destroying us. After the start of the 4th battle, Nazuo had almost grown up, and he followed them to join the ranks and was promoted to the peak of the super shadow level. Then use Mingzuo to kill all the 6 levels and explode a few more cards. This is to maximize profits. If Chen Tian picks up a 6th level card, he will probably become a strong player at the 6th level, and then the system will be useless. But as long as he kills a few more 6th level players at the super shadow level and then picks up all the cards at once, his strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. In this way, even if the system picks up the effect, Chenshin will be at least the peak of the 6 paths, and nothing will threaten him from now on. To be honest, Chen Tian was really touched by the fact that the system devoted itself to him so wholeheartedly, trying to make him as strong as possible even before it lost its function. While Chen Tian was communicating with the system, Ao, the envoy of the Kingdom of Water, came to Konoha, hoping that Konoha could participate in the Chunin exam they held. It took 3 years for the Mist Ninja Village to finally break free from the blood mist and barely regain some vitality. The purpose of holding the Chunin assessment at this time is to show one's own strength and bring more tasks to the village. At the same time, Ao also vaguely mentioned the matter of taking back the 3 tails, but Minato refused without hesitation. "It's not that I won't return Sanwei, it's that I won't return it until Yuan Yelin is alive. Otherwise, if we take out the tailed beast, will we let Yuan Yelin die?" This is the Hokage's disciple. After Ao left, Minato directly left this task to Chen Tian, who was the only one in Konoha who had nothing to do. After Chen Tian refused in every possible way, still to no avail, he could only reluctantly agree. There were a total of 3 people in a team participating in the Chunin exam, including Uchiha Itachi from the Uchiha clan, Hyuga Ryuya from the Hyuga clan, and Uchiha Izumi, a little girl who volunteered. Originally, the third person had other plans, but the little girl secretly found Chen Tian and got this opportunity. Chenshin knew that Uchiha Izumi's desire was not for drinking, so he was naturally happy to accommodate her and Itachi. Although the 2 children are still young, love should start from childhood, right? 3 days later, in the early morning, Uchiha Fugaku and Hinata Hazashi came in person with their 3 children. Morning Jonin, I leave this child to you, Ryuya. Seeing Chenshin, Hazu forced an ugly smile. I am used to being serious on weekdays, but it is a bit difficult to smile now. Fugaku and Chenshin were much more familiar with each other and were not as polite as Hadashi. He pushed Itachi over with a gentle smile. I'll leave my son to you. He's your little fanboy anyway. You can take care of it yourself. Take more care of this girl Quan. Haha, don't worry, I will definitely take good care of them. Chenshin's chest made a thumping sound. He was very familiar with Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Izumi, 2 children less than 10 years old. But this strength is not weak at all. Itachi can easily kill a Chunin. Although it is not as powerful as the morning sky, it can still enter the top few in the history of Konoha. Hinata Ryu is also a bit older. He looks to be about 12 or 13 years old, about the same height as Chen Tian. He doesn't know what his strength is, but his chakra is almost at the level of an elite Chunin, and he is worthy of the Hyuga clan. When Fugaku said this, Itachi felt a little shy and walked behind Chen Tian with a red face. On the contrary, Quan Luoluo was generous and not nervous at all. Hyuga Dragon is also the most interesting. This guy does not look like a member of the Hyuga clan at all, but has a personality similar to that of future Naruto. After seeing the morning sky, he looked away. If the sun had not been there, he might have pounced on him. Chatted with the 2 of them for a few words, asked Minato for an entry and exit permit, and then set off with the 3 little kids. Morning Sama, are we going to the Kingdom of Water on foot? As soon as he left Konoha, Hyuga Ryu also blinked crazily, constantly hinting at Morden. Who in Konoha doesn't know that everyone travels in the morning by flying? This is unique to Konoha. As a child, even a ninja, who wouldn't want to fly around in the sky? Even the calm and wise Uchiha Itachi's eyes were full of expectation at this time. Haha, shaking his head with a smile, Chen Tian said, we will fly to fulfill your wish. Being with these children, Chen Tiansai, who has been born in 2 lifetimes, feels that he is also a child. Wooden escape, the technique of wooden dragon boat. A giant tree suddenly grew up in front of them, and little by little it turned into a wooden boat, landing smoothly on the ground. Get on the boat. After saying hello, the 3 little guys couldn't wait to climb aboard. The art of light and heavy rocks. With a slap on the wooden boat, the boat flew steadily, floating more than 100 meters. Then with a swish sound, he galloped towards the Kingdom of Water, much faster than a Jonin. Yi Chenshin's current chakra level is more than enough to fly from Konoha to the water country, and there is no pressure at all. The 3 children were a little excited at first, looking around and having a great time. But as time went by, after the excitement passed, I sat on the boat board and started to refine chakra. Sit tight, we're going to speed up. Suddenly sensing a familiar chakra, Chenshin's expression changed and he instantly accelerated his flying speed. But it didn't take long for his expression to turn bitter, and he looked ahead with a gloomy expression. There is a beautiful figure there, with a pair of paper wings flapping constantly on her back, making her float in the air. Run, you should run again. Xiao Nan's face turned dark, and she wanted to blow Chen Tian's head off. She came out to perform her mission and unexpectedly saw Chen Tian from a distance. Just when she was about to catch up, Chen Tian suddenly accelerated. In this way, Xiao Nan spent a lot of energy to catch up, and almost let Chen Tian run away. Xiao Nan also knew that if she didn't die differently, she probably wouldn't be Chen Tian's opponent, but she still pursued him without hesitation. Hee. Chen Tian touched the back of his head awkwardly and said with a smile, how dare you? I don't know it's you, Sister Xiao Nan. If you knew, how could I run away? After a pause, looking at Xiao Nan's expression that said, I believe you, You are a ghost, Chen Tian hurriedly said. Sister Xiaonan, come up first, how tiring it is to fly like this. Humph, Xiaonan snorted proudly, and then slowly flew to the wooden boat. Uchiha Itachi and the other 3 children in the corner were stunned. Who is this woman? How can she make the Konoha monster so scared? That is to say, Chen Tian doesn't know what these 3 little devils are thinking, otherwise he must blow their heads. What is fear? In the current ninja world, besides the Sage of 6 Paths, is there anyone else who can scare me? Do you know what this is called respect? This beautiful woman in front of me saved my life and really treated me like a younger brother. It is also for this reason that Chenshin is unwilling to take action against Xiaonan. Let's try it with someone else from the Xiao organization to see if that person can come back alive. Xiaonan was speechless for a long time after getting on the boat, and she caught up with him on impulse. She didn't know what to say now. Do you want to ask why Chenshin left the Kingdom of Rain? He is a ninja of Konoha, there is nothing wrong with that. Still want to ask why Chenshin deceived himself? It seemed that everything was made up by his own mind from beginning to end. Chen Tian never said that he was a wanderer. Thinking of this, Xiaonan suddenly became a little irritable and glared at Chen Tian fiercely. This makes Chen Tian a little confused. He seems to be fine. Why are you glaring at me? But these are not important. What is important is whether you want to tell Xiaonan Heizetsu's purpose. Watching Xiaonan die, Chen Tian could not do it no matter what. He is a man who always repays kindness and repays double the amount of hatred. Conan picked him up when he was unable to move, preventing him from being killed by other ninjas. He also tried his best to teach himself ninjutsu and truly regarded himself as his younger brother. How similar is this to the original Jushin? How could Chen Tian remain indifferent under such circumstances? But Nagato is an indispensable tool, and it is impossible for Chenshin to bring Nagato back with him. It should be impossible to take Xiaonan alone. There is no return, but it's not wrong to give it a try. Sister Xiaonan, do you want to join Konoha? I can let you join. Impossible. Xiaonan frowned and said, I'm leaving first. The tragedy of Conan becoming an orphan was caused by Konoha. How is this possible? Wait. Seeing Xiaonan about to leave after a disagreement, Chen Tian quickly took her jade hand, took out a shuriken and said, this is my special shuriken, with a flying thunder warlock on it. I can use it at any time. You can teleport it and wear it on your body. After putting the shuriken into Xiaonan's palm, Chen Tian let go of Xiaonan. Since she is unwilling to join Konoha, she can pay more attention to the situation and go to the rescue at any time. Xiaonan glanced at Chenshin suspiciously, then flew out with the sword in his hand. Remember to take it with you, don't lose it. He yelled in the direction Xiaonan was leaving, and he didn't know if the other party heard him. It wasn't until Xiaonan was completely gone that Chen Tian controlled the ship and continued to move forward. Lord Chenshin, who is that woman? Why are you so afraid of her? Hyuga Ryuya's Bagua soul was burning brightly, and the light in his eyes soared, almost burying his reason. Bang! With a loud bang, Hyuga Ryu immediately lay down on the boat, with a big bump visible on his head. After a few people made a fuss for a while, Chenshin said leisurely, that person is the disciple of Lord Jiraiya, one of the 3, and she is also my sister. Uchiha Itachi and the others nodded thoughtfully and stopped asking further questions. The group of people were speechless all the way, and soon arrived outside the fog and shadow level of the rain country. Slowly lowering the flying boat, Chen Tian took the lead towards the gate of the fog shadow level. Follow everyone, it's not very safe here. Terumi Mei is a good person in charge, but Chen Tian is not very sure how far he can achieve it in 3 years. Before Chen Tian and others could enter the gate, Qing had already received the news and came to greet them personally. This man is not an ordinary person, and it is just right for him to come to greet him. It's been a long time, Mr. Chenshin. I didn't expect you to lead the team yourself. Qing, who was instantly killed by Chen Tian 3 years ago, knows how powerful Chen Tian is. In the past 3 years, no one knows how powerful Chen Tian has become. Even if he rolled his eyes, he wouldn't dare to look at it. What if it aroused Chen Tian's hostility? No matter what, just be respectful and put everything else aside. Not just Ao, but in the entire ninja world, as Chen Tian gets older, people pay more and more attention to him. You can look down on him when he is young, but who will dare to do it when he grows up? If you are not afraid of moving your head, just give it a try. It's been a long time since I last saw you. You Ying class have recovered well. He stretched out his hand to avoid hitting the smiling man, and Chen Tian also gave him enough face. After arranging the three little guys, Uchiha Itachi, Ao invited, Mizukage-sama wants to meet you, you see. Okay. Chen Tian was still very willing to meet this beautiful girl. Terumi Mei, you lead the way. Yes, please come this way. Qing showed a relieved smile and did not dare to hesitate at all. Soon, the two of them arrived at Mizukage's office. Sir, please come in. I will wait outside. Nodding, Chen Tian opened the door and walked in. Terumi Mei was overjoyed at first when she saw Chen Tiano, and then she instantly became serious, and her attitude became much tighter. Although Chenshin was just standing there, he put a lot of pressure on her, and her first reaction was that she couldn't beat him. She didn't feel this way 3 years ago, but now, how much has this kid grown? After being frightened, the idea of establishing a good relationship with Chen Tian became even stronger. Xiao Tiantian, welcome to my sister's village. Have you missed your sister? Terumi Mei smiled sweetly and showed an amazing smile. With my charm, can't I win over you, a little brat? Smiled helplessly, this woman really hadn't changed at all. Tai, you have something to say. If nothing happens, I'll go back to sleep. I've been traveling all day. Seeing that Chenshin didn't seem to be joking, Terumi Mei also became serious. You have also seen that there are no cage-level experts except me in the Kurikage office today, and there are very few Jonins. After looking at Chenshin's face for a moment, Terumi Mei continued, so we want to get the three tails back. You can make requests as long as I can do it. Impossible. Chen Tian didn't even think about it. You yourself stuffed the three tails into the Konoha ninjas. Why should I give them to you? And I gave you the three tails, what should I do with the Jinchuriki now? You don't know that the Jinchuriki will die after the tailed beast is removed, right? Seeing that Terumi Mei was still unwilling to give up, Chenshin immediately added, the current three-tailed Jinchuriki is a disciple of the Hokage. Do you still want the three-tailed Jinchuriki? Hearing this, Terumi Mei's expression suddenly changed and became much uglier. The three-tailed Jinchuriki is a disciple of the Hokage. If she wants the three tails, she will definitely go to war with Konoha, but the Kurigage class cannot afford this price. Did Konoha do this on purpose just to refuse to return the three tails? Terumi Mei's idea had just arisen when Chen Tian saw it. You are thinking too much. That girl was Minato's disciple before he became Hokage. Your people captured her and I rescued her personally. Ah, Chenshin's words almost choked Terumi Mei to death. His silver teeth clenched loudly, and he wished he could pull Yagura out and kill him again. Isn't this TMD mentally retarded? Capturing the Konoha Hokage's disciples and sealing his own tailed beast inside, you can't do this if you have no brains. But there was nothing she could do. She could only sigh softly and gave up the idea of getting Sanwei back. But at this moment, Chenshin said, actually, it's not that the three tails can't be returned to you, it just has to wait until the Jinchuriki dies of old age. Little Tiantian, are you kidding my sister? That Jinchuriki is much smaller than my sister. Although it was a question, Terumi Mei's tone was very affirmative. Minato's disciple Kakashi is only about the same age, so that little girl should be about the same age. Then there's nothing we can do. Shrugging his shoulders, Chen Tian said nonchalantly. Terumi Mei bit her red lips unwillingly and said, since we can't get the three tails back, aren't you Konoha going to compensate us? Chenshin wanted to refuse outright. After all, Konoha would be responsible for this matter no matter what, but when he thought of what would happen next, he showed a sly smile. Okay, within 10 years, as long as you don't take the initiative to cause trouble, Konoha will guarantee the safety of the Kurigage class, how about that? In any case, there will definitely be no problems within 10 years. There are still 13 years left before the Fourth World War. In this case, why not agree to Terumi Mei and keep the three tails in Konoha forever? Okay, it's a deal. Terumi Mei's sweet smile made Chen Tian feel a little dull. After coming back to his senses, he shook his head in embarrassment and said, since I have nothing to do, I'll go back and rest first. Then he hurriedly left here and returned to where he lived. Looking at Chen Tian's somewhat embarrassed look, Terumi Mei smiled sweetly and murmured, "Boy, my beauty can't enchant you, a little brat." I don't know what Terumi Mei will feel when she later finds out that until the 10-year deadline has passed, other villages have not bothered to take another look at the Kurikage class. After Chenshin left, Qing took out a piece of information and handed it to Chenshin, and then he left. The information contains the details of this Chunin exam, so the contestants can learn about it first. This time for the Chunin examination, the Kurikage class invited the other 4 major nations, but only one Konoha came. Of the remaining 3, the Rock Shadow class and the Sand Shadow class are still busy with the tailed beasts, while the Cloud Shadow class is unwilling to come. In this way, except for some small villages, there is only this small team in Konoha. The Chunin examination is divided into 3 sessions. The first written examination tests some basic knowledge and eliminates some ninjas who know nothing. The second game is the killing assessment, which evolved from the power of Blood Mist. It allows ninjas to enter the trial field to kill beasts and find special items. Finally, they are ranked according to points. Chapter 3 is a personal battle, which is an exhibition match, in order to attract more ninjutsu. After reading the general content, Chen Tian was too lazy to continue reading. Every joint Chunin exam is the same. It's just a change of soup without changing the medicine. There is nothing surprising. As the leader of the ninja team, I am responsible for protecting the safety of those little guys. I leave it to them to figure out this matter. This is definitely not because Chen Tian is lazy, he is doing it to exercise the little guy's abilities. After returning to the hotel, he threw these materials to the 3 little guys. This is the information for this Chunin exam. You can study it yourself. I only have one request, don't embarrass Konoha. After that, Chen Tian went back to his room and fell asleep. He was a little tired after a long day's journey. Early the next morning, the Chunin examination began. Before getting up in the morning, the 3 little guys left on their own. I wasn't in a hurry when I woke up. It was just a written test. Could there be any problems? If something really goes wrong, then the shadow level might as well disappear. After breakfast, Chenshin left the hotel casually and wandered around the fog and shadow level. Speaking of which, he has been to the cloud shadow level, the rock shadow level, and even the sand shadow level from afar, but this was his first time at the mist shadow level. Looking around, I have one thought about Ying level Chenshin, that is, they are falling behind. Konoha is even more backward than when he just crossed over, and it's almost impossible to see. However, while walking, he saw Qing with a child from a distance. The child looked about 5 or 6 years old and had a red spot on his forehead. Looking at this child, Chen Tian always felt familiar, but couldn't recognize who he was. Chen Tian couldn't think of it and didn't want to continue thinking about it. Judging by the time, Weasel and the others should be back, so he turned around and walked back. Holy shit, halfway through, Chen Tian suddenly slapped his forehead, isn't that Kid Kimimaro? Thinking about it carefully, it's true. Without Orochimaru's deception, Terumi Mei should have found Kimimaro after reorganizing the Kurikage level. Suddenly Chen Tian felt that he had lost 100 million. How many talents had he wasted because of that about Konoha? If you had thought of it earlier, you could have walked around the Kurikage level by yourself, and you would have gotten at least 1 Shiro and 1 Kimimaro. These 2 people are no worse than the 12 little powers in the future. If they are trained well, they will definitely be 2 shadow level powerhouses. But it's too late now. But if you think about it, it doesn't matter. Shiro should run away with Zabuza now, and he can't cure Kimimaro's illness. It seems that I have nothing to lose in this way. By the time Chen Tian returned to the hotel, Itachi and the others had indeed returned. When they saw Chen Tian, they all ran over. Master Chen Tian, we have all passed the first exam. A few people chatted for a while, then went back to their rooms, waiting for the second assessment to begin the next day. In order to motivate these 3 little guys, Chenshin promised them that as long as they successfully became Chunin, he would teach each of them a ninjutsu. This made the 3 little guys extremely happy. Countless people in Konoha had no way to get Chenshin's guidance, but the 3 of them got this opportunity. Suddenly, the fire in the hearts of the 3 of them burned brightly, and they could not wait for the assessment to start immediately. In the blink of an eye, the next day has come. After sending these 3 little guys to the examination room, Chen Tian secretly observed them. This assessment is different from the previous ones. It is possible, no. It should be said that there will definitely be human lives. He has to keep an eye on it. If anything goes wrong with these three little guys, he'd better come to the rescue in time. Although I have enough confidence in Weasel, I am not afraid of 10,000, just in case. Who knows if an accident will happen. But until Chen Tian started to feel sleepy, these three little guys were still killing gods and Buddhas, without any rival at all. For the sake of Chenshin's promise, these three people almost turned into robots, and they didn't know how to rest at all. Confirming that nothing unexpected would happen to them, they quickly returned to the hotel in the morning. The second assessment would take 5 days, and he didn't want to stay there stupidly for 5 days. Terumi Mei is very concerned about Chenshin's movements and has been sending people to observe Chenshin secretly. This is what Chen Tian himself tacitly agreed to. After all, when such a powerful person comes to his own territory, who can rest assured if he doesn't keep an eye on him? Terumi Mei felt relieved after knowing that Chenshin was back. She had already told her ninjas not to make things difficult for Konoha ninjas, but who hasn't had a surprise yet? If Chen Tian goes crazy, whether Wying Village can continue to exist is a question. Morning Sky, who was bored, thought of Uchiha Madara's old lair. If he remembered correctly, that place was not far from Kurikage village. Anyway, it will take 4 or 5 days for those three little brats to come out. Why don't I go look for them first? Chen Tian was a little moved as he rubbed his chin. Not to discover any secrets, but simply out of curiosity. Do you want to dance too? These words made his scalp tingle, and he felt that Mr. Ban should not be too domineering. With him here in this life, he probably has no chance to show off like this, so he can only remember it in advance. Just do whatever you want, let Qing and Terumi Mei say hello, and Chen Tian left Wying Village alone. Soon he came to the place where Yuan Yelin had appeared, looked at the ground under his feet, and murmured, that thing should still be there, right? If it wasn't there, Obito wouldn't have to die. After a few ups and downs, Chen Tian found the place where he had hidden his things. He lifted up the soil on the surface and saw a detonating talisman. The words I left on the detonation talisman are still there, but unfortunately it has no effect. Obito, you died because of your own stupidity. After destroying the detonating talisman, Chen Tian looked around. He has no regrets at all about killing Obito. Even if he had to do it again, he would kill him again. In the original work, although there was a reason, Hirano Lin died at the hands of Kakashi, and there was no problem with Obito wanting to kill him. But Minato has been teaching him and taking care of him, but he actually went crazy and attacked Minato and Kushina. This means there is something wrong with him. For this kind of person, Chen Tian thinks it's best to kill him. Otherwise, who knows if this brainless thing will stab you in the back. With Yuan Yelin's memory before calming down and Fui's powerful perception, Chen Tian slowly found his direction. It should not be far away, otherwise Madara and Hei will never be able to control the time of Obito's arrival and the time of Yuan Yelin's death. In order for Kakashi to kill Hirano Lin with his own hands, Obito must also witness it with his own eyes. The variables in this process are very large. To ensure the success of the plan, the distance cannot be too far. Putting himself into Uchiha Madara's perspective, Chenshin guessed the location of Madara's lair bit by bit. Found it. I don't know how much time had passed, but Chen Tian's eyes suddenly lit up and he stared in one direction. Then he galloped away and soon reached his destination. It should be down here. Confirming his thoughts, he raised his right hand, then just hit it. Boom! Chenshin punched down, causing the earth to shake. The land beneath it was shattered inch by inch, and a large circular hole more than 2 meters wide appeared. Looking at the dark hole, a beautiful smile flashed across Chen Tian's face, and he jumped in. After a full 3 to 5 seconds, Chen Tian fell to the ground with a clatter, but the surroundings were still pitch black and nothing could be seen. Wood release, the technique of the wooden stick. Fire escape, the technique of rock burning. In Chen Tian's empty hand, a wooden stick slightly thinner than his arm slowly grew out and burned with a roar. As soon as the torch appeared, it illuminated the surrounding space, and Chen Tian could see the surrounding situation clearly. There was a thick layer of dust on the ground, and it looked like no one had been here for a long time. At the center of the hole is a wooden chair, which looks a little shabby. Behind the wooden chair is a large irregular pit, as if some creature had survived. As for other places, they were empty, with nothing there. It was obvious that they had been cleaned deliberately. This should be the place where the heretic demons are stored, right? Holding the wooden chair, Chen Tian carefully drilled a large number of holes behind the wooden chair. This hole is 70 or 80 meters high and more than 30 meters wide. It is surrounded by irregular fissures and looks very similar to the heretic demon in the impression. After walking around for a while, Chen Tian left here after finding nothing, and returned to Wying village to continue eating fish. But not long after he left, the space in this lair began to distort, and a man wearing a red-bottomed black cloud robe and a spiral mask walked out of it. Seeing the broken ground and the footprints below, Uchiha Nobu's expression suddenly changed. After Obito's death, he was a replacement trained by Black Zetsu himself, and he also lived here for a period of time. But now someone has discovered it. Is it a coincidence, or did someone find out? Uchiha Nobu was not sure about this issue, but with the idea that he would rather make a mistake than miss, he went to Black Zetsu to inquire about the news. No matter who this person is, no matter where he comes from, he must be killed. Before leaving, Uchiha Shin burned the entire cave with fire and left here. After returning to Wying village, Chenshin said hello to Terumi Mei, collapsed in the hotel and turned into a salted fish again. 10 days passed in a flash, and Uchiha Itachi and 3 other little kids all obtained the status of Chunin. In the second assessment, the 3-person team won the first place together, with twice as many points as the second place. In the last individual competition, Itachi unexpectedly won the first place, and Hyuga Ryu also won the second place. Only the little girl Izumi Uchiha was not strong enough and got a result outside the top 10. But for Chen Tian's sake, Terumi Mei still gave him a Chunin spot. For them, this thing is just a sentence and is completely unimportant. Morden is still a genin of Konoha until now, but how many people in the ninja world dare to really regard him as a genin? No one, not even the irascible Lei Ying, dared to underestimate Chen Tian like this. The Chunin exam is over, it's time for us to leave and say goodbye. After chatting with Terumi Mei for a few words, Chenshin left with the 3 little kids. After leaving Kurikage village, he repeated his old tricks and spent a day returning to Konoha. There were no accidents this time, and I didn't meet anyone. Everything went smoothly. Brother Minato, these 3 boys have been brought back to you safely. If you have any questions, you can just ask them. Pushing open the door of the Hokage's office, Chen Tian pushed the 3 children in carelessly. He didn't even enter the door. He gave an explanation in a loud voice and returned to his home in a hurry. He has handed over the general policy of Konoha to Minato, and he doesn't want to deal with the remaining trivial matters. It's troublesome. Looking at Chen Tian with a smile as he walked away, Minato just shook his head but didn't say anything. Morden's contribution to Konoha has been enough, and no one can match it except the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Everyone in Konoha knows this very well. Otherwise, why don't you try it as a ninja and not perform a single mission? I would have broken your legs and thrown you out of Konoha. Uchiha Itachi was fine, but the funny Hyuga Ryuya's eyes were shining, and he admired Chen Tian in his heart. Chapter 91. After returning to his small house, Chenshin once again resumed his leisurely farming life. After reaching the peak of the shadow level, he would always notice Ruoyoroawu's gaze. Apart from the immortal of 6 paths, Chen Tian could not think of anyone else with such ability. So we can only stay here safely to prevent the 6 paths immortal from taking desperate action. More than 8 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Chen Tian is now 19 years old and has transformed into a handsome young man. In the past 8 years, because Chen Tian could keep a low profile, he had become a legend among the villagers of Konoha. A person lives on the mountain behind Konoha. Apart from Kakashi and Metkai, only Yuhi Kurenai comes to sit here occasionally. Oh, by the way, Kushina also brought Naruto here once, saying that she wanted him to recognize the door. Other than that, Chen Tian didn't take a step back. Last year, Metkai came to Chenshin happily and told him that he had become a leading Junin, and that one of the 3 disciples he led had perfectly inherited his mantle. Today is the graduation day for 9 of Konoha's 12 heroes. All of them graduated at the age of 12. Without the interference of Nine Tails chakra, Naruto defeated Uchiha Sasuke and won the first place. Although Uchiha Sasuke was dissatisfied with this, he had no emotions as he had not experienced the pain of genocide. Because of the relationship between Indra and Asura Chakra, the two still became a pair of friends. I don't know if it's the inertia of history, but even though Hokage is Minato, the class division situation has not changed. At night, Kakashi and Yuhi Hong Metkai all came to Chenshin. Metkai walked in with a few bottles of wine and Kakashi took some food. Is there any happy event today? Why are the three of you here together? Looking at the appearance of the three of them, Chen Tian was a little puzzled. According to the past rules, only during festivals or happy events would people come together. Kakashi and Metkai are both orphans. It's not interesting to celebrate the festival alone, so they went with Chen Tian. Yuhiko's father, Yuhiko, is still alive, but Yuhiko still always runs here. Perhaps it's because of the experience on Death Mountain that the relationship between the two of them has improved. Ha ha ha, today Kakashi and Kurenai have become the leading Junin, let's come over to celebrate. Kai laughed, and it was obvious that he was in a good mood. Looking at the masked Kakashi and the smiling Yuhi Kurenai, Chen Tian had the answer in his heart. Morning Sky and Kakashimetkai mingled with each other. You had a cup of wine and I had a cup of wine. I was so happy. Yuhi Hong sat quietly next to Chenshin and poured him wine with a smile. Kakashi, seeing that he was almost done drinking, Chenshin patted Kakashi on the shoulder and asked, when did you and Lin get married? They have been dating for more than 10 years. The moment he knew that Kakashi and Yuhi Kurenai became the leading Junin, Chen Tian knew that the plot was about to begin. Kakashi and Kai are both his good friends. He doesn't want these two people to wander around like the original, so he keeps urging Kakashi. If Kai, a watermelon head, didn't like a girl, he probably wouldn't have been able to escape Chen Tian's urging. Come on, come on. Kakashi was used to Chenshin's urging. Lin and I have already agreed that we will get married next year. Even Kakashi showed a happy smile at this time. Yuhi Hong looked at Kakashi, with envy in her eyes, and glanced at Chenshin resentfully. I secretly cursed Chenshin Yumuzao in my heart for not being able to figure out what he was thinking after all these years. Yes, after the Death Mountain, Shihi Hong secretly expressed her love for Chenshin, but she knew that Chenshin didn't even notice it now. Kakashi and Metkai smiled at each other, ignoring Kurenai's little emotion as if nothing had happened. It was not until midnight that the three of them left, ending the small gathering. Is it finally going to start? I've been waiting for too long. Looking at the retreating figures of the three people, Chen Tian's eyes were deep and distant. 9 years, he waited a full 9 years for the plot to begin, and he almost forgot his original plan. He then went to bed. There was still a little time, it was almost over. A month passed quickly, and Kakashi Yuhiko was almost getting along with her team. Morning Tien received news that Team 7 of Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura received the first sea-level mission, the bridge repair mission in the Land of Waves. After so many years, Chen Tian has almost forgotten the original work and only remembers a few important things. Frowning and trying to think back for a long time, he remembered that this mission seemed to be the first time Naruto and Sasuke encountered danger when they met Zabuza and Haku. After thinking about it, I decided to follow him secretly to prevent any unexpected changes. He didn't dare to think about what would happen to Kushina and Minato if something happened to Naruto. Early the next morning, Chen Tian wandered to the gate of Konoha, where Kakashi's team gathered. Yo, why did you leave your little territory? Kakashi asked in surprise. I haven't seen this guy come out in so many years. It's been a long time since I've seen him. It's okay. He waved his hand and said, I want to do some activities after staying for a long time, so I'll go shopping with you. Okay. Kakashi was not surprised why Chen Tian knew his mission. In Konoha, as long as Chen Tian wanted to know, nothing could be hidden from him. Hello, Uncle Chenshin. Naruto greeted Chenshin a little cautiously. He had only met this uncle once and was a little scared. Especially when I learned about my uncle's past from my mother, I was even more shocked. Sasuke and Sakura were dumbfounded by Naruto's reaction. How could this fearless guy actually have such a day? Who is this person with many faces? Why have they never heard of it? It's a pity that neither Kakashi nor Chenshin told them hello to Naruto, and the group set off. Dazna originally wanted to say something, but when he saw Chen Tian's eyes, he immediately turned into a quail and followed him obediently. But I felt extremely uneasy in my heart. I was deeply afraid that Chen Tian would know that I had lied about my mission level. Otherwise, I would be afraid. That look was so terrifying. After seeing it, it was like seeing hell, and it seemed that he might die at any time. But I am also a little happy. Since this person is so powerful, he will be more confident in dealing with Cardo. In this way, Chenshin and Kakashi chatted, and the group of people walked forward in silence. But Chen Tian was still thinking in his mind, should he kill Zabuza? With Zabuza's strength, he should be able to explode a card, right? After walking for an hour, Sakura finally couldn't help her curiosity and sneaked up to Naruto and asked, Naruto, who is that person and why are you so afraid of him? Sasuke also raised his ears curiously, wanting to hear the news about Chen Tian. Because he always felt that Chen Tian looked familiar, but he just couldn't remember where he had seen this person. That's my uncle, I've only met him once, but my parents say he's very strong, but no one knows how strong he is. Kakashi and Chenshin also heard what the three little ones said, but just smiled and ignored them. Sasuke at the back couldn't help it anymore and asked, what's your uncle's name? Why have I never seen him before? My uncle's name is Chenshin. He has been living in the back mountain of Konoha. He seems to have never been out much. Morning sky. Sasuke screamed in surprise. Their Uchiha Enlightenment teaching was written by Akira, and his name is still there. Sasuke, you also know, I haven't heard of it. Sakura was confused. Have I exited the era? Shaking his head, Sasuke said, I don't know if that's true. Anyway, the Uchiha clan rules were written by a person named Chenshin. While speaking, he also glanced at Chenshin secretly. Naruto, continue, what else do you know? Sasuke asked in a deep voice, interrupting Sakura's infatuation. Oh, it is said that my uncle entered school at the age of 5 and graduated at the age of 6. He took the Chunin exam at the age of 7 and beat everyone except him. No one passed. It's just that he said that Konoha Genin is the strongest, so he refused to be promoted to Chunin, and he is still a Genin until now. Quote. Swallowing, Naruto fell into memories. My parents said that my uncle had killed many Chunin at the age of 7, and by the age of 8 he was no weaker than them. And also took them to Union Village, beating everyone in Union Village so that they dared not go out, and came to Konoha to apologize. At the first Ninja Dao tournament, he was one of the top 16, but because of something, the tournament did not continue, otherwise his uncle would definitely be the first. After that, he lived alone and did not show up like this. Quote. As he spoke, Naruto himself showed a shocked expression. As if he was not afraid enough, he continued, they also said that the reason why Konoha is so prosperous is entirely because of the advice given to them by their uncle. Anyway, it is not what it is now. Smacking his lips, Naruto stopped and looked at Sasuke with gloating. When he first learned the news, he was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth from ear to ear. Now it was the turn of the stinky Sasuke. Impossible, times 2. As expected by Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were furious, their heads shaking like rattles. This is impossible. How could an 8-year-old do such a thing? And if he really did it, why have I never heard of it? Sasuke didn't believe Naruto's words at all and felt that Naruto was making things up. What I said is true. Impossible, I don't believe it. Seeing that the two of them were touching each other, Sakura stood beside him blankly, not knowing what to do. Naruto's father is the Hokage, would he make such a joke? But if it were true, this would be too unbelievable. When Naruto started to tell, Kakashi in front of him had already fallen into memories. Until Naruto and Sasuke's quarrel interrupted him, he said leisurely, what Naruto said is true, and it's only part of it. After finishing speaking, he quickly followed Chen Tian in front of him regardless of the reaction of the three little ones. Sasuke and Sakura suddenly opened their mouths when they heard Kakashi's words, and looked in horror at Chenshin, who was just like an ordinary person in front of them. Ignoring the various looks from the three little ones, they walked out of the woods and saw the small beach in front of them. Kakashi and Chenshin looked at each other. Bang! Next, two extremely ugly ninjas jumped out of the small water beach and cut Chen Tian and Kakashi in two. "Uncle, Kakashi-sensei!" With a cry of surprise, Naruto and Sasuke rushed forward immediately, with Sakura guarding Dazuna. Kakashi and Chenshin were watching the performance of the three little ones on a tree not far away and expressed dissatisfaction with it. With such dry weather and such a big puddle of water on the ground, no one noticed anything was wrong. "I simply don't know what to say. If it weren't for the training of these three, Chen Tianzai would have crushed the Ghost Brothers to death, even though they would not explode the cards." After Naruto Sasuke defeated the Ghost Brothers, Kakashi and Asahi reappeared. "Kill them, one by one," Chen Tian said in a low voice, glancing at the Ghost Brothers. Sasuke hesitated for a moment, but still gritted his teeth and stabbed the shuriken. Naruto couldn't help it, he hesitated, and even the hand holding the shuriken began to tremble. Looking at Naruto's performance, Chen Tian's eyes became colder and gloomier, and the person who looked at him felt chills all over his body. Unable to withstand Chen Tian's gaze, Naruto tremblingly came to the Ghost Brother, closed his eyes and stabbed him fiercely. After the others died, Naruto immediately lay on the side and vomited heartbreakingly. Seeing this, Chen Tian turned around and left, leaving the rest of the matter to Kakashi, so he didn't bother to argue with Dazuna. After Kakashi and the three little ones expressed their stance, the mission continued. Due to Dazuna's speed, the group's progress was slow. It took them 5 full days to reach the edge of the Kingdom of Fire. In front of them was the sea surrounding the Kingdom of Waves. Too lazy to wait for Dazuna to row the boat, Chenshin summoned a wooden board and floated over leisurely. Kakashi had noticed Chenshin's movements a long time ago, and passed along the wooden plank, leaving only the three little ones and Tazuna rowing slowly. "Why is this so? Naruto, row the boat quickly, let's catch up." Sakura kept urging Naruto, very dissatisfied with Chen Tian and Kakashi's operation without their guidance. "What about Sasuke? Sasuke is also rowing." Hearing the voice behind him, Chen Tian was also speechless towards Sakura. Even if Naruto was the son of the Hokage, he could not change his preference for Sasuke. However, because of Naruto's identity, Sakura did not dare to offend Naruto even though she was partial. If she really wants Naruto to be okay and Sasuke to be okay like in the original work, Chen Tian does not recommend giving her an unforgettable lesson. Let her know that not just any child can be treated like a dog by her. But fortunately in this life, Naruto has not lacked friends since he was a child, and he has never fallen in love with Sakura, so he will not run away to be a licking dog. After a while, the whole group landed ashore. The moment they landed, Chenshin noticed 2 people hiding in the woods. He just glanced at me silently and didn't say much. If you want to use Naruto and Sasuke to explode cards, you still need to make these 2 stronger quickly. This opportunity is just for training them. After all the people came ashore, a big knife whirled and whizzed towards everyone's necks. "Get out of the way." Kakashi noticed it in time and shouted out quickly. After Naruto and Sasuke heard this, they all got down in time. The next moment, the broadsword penetrated halfway into the ground, and Mochi Zabuza stood upright on it with 1 foot. Looking at Zabuza's pretentious appearance, Chenshin narrowed his eyes and sighed in his heart that Zabuza was destined to die. It was a coincidence that the sword missed him, otherwise Zabuza would be dead by now. "I didn't expect it was you, Konoha's new white fang, Hatake Kakashi." Kurikage Kirin, Momochi Zabuza. Kakashi stood in front of the 3 little ones, looking quite relaxed. Not to mention the great killing weapon Chenshin is here, even he himself can hang and beat Zabuza. After listening to Chen Tian's advice, he gave up developing the blood chakra eye and devoted himself wholeheartedly to the art of swordsmanship. Now, he is already an out-and-out shadow-level powerhouse, perfectly inheriting his father's mantle. "My target is the old man behind you, how about giving him to me?" Pointing at Dazuna, Zabuza stared at Kakashi. He has heard of Kakashi's name many times, and he has a little bit of a drum in his heart, not knowing whether he can beat him. Handled the white fang dagger behind his back, Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said, "He is my mission protector and cannot be left to you." Behind Kakashi, Sasuke and Naruto looked at Zabuza curiously, and kept looking at Chen Tian with questioning eyes. "That man's name is Momochi Zabuza, He is a rebel ninja from Kirigage village. He defected after failing to assassinate Kirikage. When he graduated, he killed 99 other companions who took the exam at the same time, and gained the title of Kirikage Ghost. The strength is probably at the level of an elite Jonin, and he can barely be considered a human being. Quote. After giving a rough explanation, Chen Tian watched the battle between the two with a lack of interest. Zabuza has a great reputation, but Kakashi is not bad either, and is much stronger than him. So after the battle started, no matter how Zabuza used his ninjutsu, all of them were split open by Kakashi's sword. With no choice but to hold a decapitating sword, he faced Kakashi head-on. With a click, the decapitating sword broke into two halves under the broken blade of the White Fang in Kakashi's hand. After chopping off the beheading sword, the White Fang dagger didn't pause at all and slashed towards Zabuza's neck. Hurrying, Zabuza leaned backward slightly, letting the knife hit his chest. A handful of blood spurted out and splashed on the grass. Zabuza fell down in response, losing the breath of life. Whoops! Just when Kakashi was preparing thousands of checks, a petite figure suddenly appeared, wearing an Anbu costume. Seeing this person appear, Chenshin's eyes suddenly lit up and he became serious. He was really curious about Shiro's gender, but he couldn't tell anything because he was wearing Anbu clothes. Who are you? Seeing someone appearing, Kakashi immediately became vigilant and clenched the broken White Fang blade in his hand again. Haku stopped and said in a stiff tone, I am the Kirikage class Anbu who hunted down Zabuza in the rebel ninja land. Thank you for killing Zabuza. Now I will take Zabuza's body back to restore my sight. After finishing speaking, Shiro's eyes were locked on Kakashi, but his body still moved closer to Zabuza. Chen Tian did not say anything to interfere, and watched Kakashi hand Zabuza to Shiro, including the decapitating sword. After a while, the group of people arrived at Dazuna's house. The story was almost the same as in the original work. Too lazy to watch a few children fooling around, Chenshin and Kakashi came to sit outside the house. I don't believe you didn't realize that that person wasn't some Kirikage Anbu. What on earth were you thinking? Chenshin looked at Kakashi in confusion. It was different from the original work. After staying here for a long time, he could tell what the Anbu was like at a glance. It is impossible for ordinary people to hide the matter of ordinary people pretending to be Anbu from Kakashi, the head of Anbu. Ha! Kakashi breathed out, with a serious expression on his face, you have discovered it as expected. Although Momochi Zabuza was a rebellious ninja, he was no longer a traitor after the 5th Mizukage came to power, but he didn't know it. When the 5th Mizukage came to Konoha, he specifically begged his master not to attack Zabuza and to spare his life if he encountered him. Quote. Although Chenshin was not satisfied with Kakashi's explanation, he reluctantly accepted it. What he really wants to know is, why did Kakashi let Zabuza go in the original work? This is definitely not the reason in the original work, but now I don't know what the reason is. However, Chen Tian had some guesses. Kakashi was known as the Blue Ninja, and he was entangled with Zabuza, so he was already exhausted. If a fight really breaks out, he may not be Haku and Zabuza's opponent, let alone protect the three little ones. That's why I just pretended not to know and let Shiro leave with Zabuza. This can be seen from the fact that Kakashi lay down for a few days after arriving at Tazuna's house. Finding a reasonable answer, Chenshin finally put down the curiosity in his heart, and Kakashi said, Dazuna said it will take 7 days to repair the bridge. You can guard him while I go out for a walk. After saying that, Chenshin Shirin left. It was enough to have Kakashi here. His target this time is Zabuza and Haku. They have no chance to attack Kakashi. It's embarrassing to say that Terumime was tricked into taking care of Kirikage village for 10 years, but the past 10 years have been peaceful and nothing happened. Now that 10 years have passed, this agreement has been invalidated. I have to do something for her, otherwise it will be difficult to meet her next time. Looking at the civilians gnawing at grassroots on both sides of the street, Chen Tian felt calm in his heart. This kind of thing has long been accustomed to him. Except for the Land of Fire, there are many such situations, even worse than here. These civilians desperately wanted to live in the country of fire, but they were all intercepted by these countries. Shaked his head and asked someone to ask where Cardo lived. But the man screamed in surprise when he heard the word, Kato, turned around and wanted to escape. He grabbed the man and took out 100 taels of silver notes. As long as you tell me where Kaduo lives, this will be yours. Gulu swallowed hard, and the little girl asked cautiously, really? Really? He handed the banknote to the little girl in advance. Looking at the skinny appearance, he felt a little pity in his heart. Kato doesn't live here, he lives on the other side. The only luxurious residence there is his, and no one dares to go there. Pointing in one direction, the little girl said everything like pouring beans, holding the banknote tightly in her hand. Although the denomination of this banknote is not large, it can keep her alive and prevent her from starving to death. Thank you. After saying that, Chen Tian left without looking back, heading towards Cardo's residence. It's not that he doesn't want to give the little girl more money, but if he gives too much money, the little girl might not be able to survive today. Wealth and silk are so attractive. Wait for 7 days. As long as Dazuna repairs the bridge after 7 days, these people will flow into the kingdom of fire, and life will be better by then. Anyway, there is no big name in the country of waves, so no one will stop them. In this way, in less than 10 minutes, Chenshin arrived in front of Kato's house. The little girl was right. There is only one house on this side of the island and no one else lives there. Who are you? Get out of here, this is Lord Cardo's residence. At the gate, the 2 warriors guarding the door looked arrogant and pointed at Chen Tian's nose arrogantly. Ah! The next moment, the sword flashed away, and the 2 warriors tightly covered their necks to prevent blood from flowing out. But all this was in vain, blood was still flowing out between the fingers, taking away their vitality. Without even looking at it, Chen Tian raised his legs and stepped over the 2 warriors, walking inside. None of these people who work for Kato are good people, so they will be killed if they are killed. Having a good temper does not mean that Chen Tian has no temper and allows these people to boss him around. Who dares to kill Lord Cardo? Kill him. Ha ha ha, I can finally see blood again. It's been a long time since I've seen it. This pretty boy with tender skin and tender flesh, why don't you let me have a good time first, and then you kill him? As soon as Chenshin entered the courtyard, a large number of warriors in different costumes rushed out and surrounded Chenshin. A group of people talked dirty words and laughed and didn't take Chen Tian to heart at all. Having sentenced these people to death in his heart, Chen Tian asked calmly, where is Cardo? Ha ha ha, what's wrong with this kid? He doesn't know his fate yet. Boy, why do you still want to see Lord Cardo? Are you not awake yet? Ha ha ha. Stop talking nonsense to him, I can't help but have a good time first. The voices of these people alarmed Kato in the room. He walked out boldly and asked, what's going on? Seeing Cardo appear, the group of people behaved like dogs and gathered around him to explain. In just 1 minute, Kaduo understood the ins and outs of the situation and looked at Chen Tian with great interest. Why did you come to me? Tell me clearly and I will give you a happy death. No, I still want to have a good time, Lord Cardo. My lord, please leave it to me. I haven't killed anyone in a long time. Say what you want to say quickly, otherwise you won't have time to say it. The atmosphere among these people became more lively, and each of them looked at the morning sky as if they were looking at a toy. In so many years, they have never seen anyone dare to come here to look for Cardo. They are all afraid of being killed by Cardo. Now that there are such idiots coming to our door, it is so interesting. Zabuza, who was recovering from his injuries, suddenly frowned when he heard the noise outside. Shiro, what's going on outside? I don't know, Mr. Zabuza. I'm going to take a look now. With that, Shiro was about to walk out. Zabuza waved his hand, let's go take a look together. Then he endured the pain in his chest, stood up unsteadily and walked out. As soon as Zabuza and Haku appeared, the courtyard became silent and everyone shut their mouths. They are different from Zabuza, who is a traitorous ninja and an elite Junin. And they are just some relatively strong ordinary people, and the warriors are just what they brag about. If Zabuza is really angered, not a single one of them here will be able to survive. Who are you and what are you doing here? The kind-hearted Bai asked first. I want to give this person below a chance to leave, so he doesn't have to die here like this. Although Cardo was unhappy, he didn't dare to say anything more now after he scolded Zabuza and was educated by Zabuza. When the beheading knife was placed on his neck, he knew that he was nothing but money. If these rebellious people are really angered, I am afraid these people will kill people and steal money. You are finally out. I have been waiting for you for a long time. After flexing his wrist, Chenshin said nonchalantly, I am a Konoha ninja, and my name is Chenshin. Morning Sky, Konoha monster. Hearing the word, Morning Sky, Zabuza's legs suddenly went weak. If Bai hadn't supported him, he would have fallen to the ground. Are you really a monster of Konoha? The voice was a little frightened, and Zabuza's face turned quite pale. Nodded, Chenshin said, if you haven't seen other Chenshin, it's me. Hearing Chen Tian's words with his own ears, Zabuza gave up completely and his face turned pale. There is Chen Tian in his notes, and the first one among them is Chen Tian, a person who must not be messed with. There is also a photo on it, but Chenshin has grown up so much that he is no longer the same as when he was a child. So Zabuza didn't recognize it before, he just thought it looked familiar. Zabuza-sama, who is he? Shiro asked after noticing something unusual about Zabuza. Konoha evildoer Chen Tian, he defeated the S-class traitor Angle at the age of 6. When he was 8 years old, he led his troops to attack the Cloud Shadow village and killed a shadow-level strongman alone. Later, he became equal to the Kage of the 5 ninja villages. After so many years, no one knows how powerful he is now. The consensus among the tolerable world is that he can kill any one of the 5 shadows. Quote. As he spoke, Zabuza felt even more frightened, but he could not think of any way to escape. Plop, plop, the sound of falling down was heard one after another, and the samurai who mocked Chenshin also heard Zabuza's words. They don't know the rest, but no one can understand that KK can kill Wying. I had dared to speak rudely to such people before. Thinking of this, water stains appeared between the legs of these people. Looking at Chen Tian with dull eyes, they all knelt on the ground like crazy, kowtowing to Chen Tian. The little one deserves to die, the little one deserves to die, please spare my life. I offended the adults because of my short-sightedness. The adults will treat me like a piece of shit. I will get out of here right now. There were still a few people who suppressed the fear in their hearts and sneaked towards the gate, wanting to leave quietly. The actions of these people were naturally noticed, and they smiled disdainfully and did not speak. You still want to escape? Stop dreaming. Chenshin ignored these useless samurai, glanced at Zabuza and said, I came to you for something, clean up the garbage, and then come out to find me. Quote. After saying that, Chenshin walked out without looking back and closed the door. He is not afraid of Zabuza running away. I believe Zabuza doesn't have the guts. Sir, what should we do? Should we escape? Bai summoned up the courage to ask after seeing Chen Tian leaving. Zabuza smiled bitterly, there's no way to escape from him. We'd better clean up all the debris first. Maybe there's still a way to survive. The warriors below had already gone crazy, rushing towards the door desperately, trying to force their way out. Zabuza jumped into the crowd, gripped the beheading sword and started killing. Even though he was injured, he was not someone these losers could mess with. Although Shiro also took action, not a single one of her men died. They were all killed by Zabuza one by one. After killing these warriors, Zabuza came to Kato and said, Kato, it's your turn. You can't kill me. As long as you kill the person before me, I can give you a lot of money. Ha! Zabu sneered and slashed with his sword, not bothering to say another word to this brainless thing. Then the two of them stepped through the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, opened the door, and walked towards the morning sky not far away. Sir, all the garbage has been cleaned up. I don't know what you want to see me for. Zabuza has never been so respectful in his life, but he did it well at this time. Now that Cardo is dead, they will definitely not attack Dazna again. There is still a high chance that Chenshin will let them go. After all, there is no enmity between the two parties. Don't be afraid, I'm just here to ask a question. Waving his hand, Chen Tian asked Bai, are you a boy or a girl? As soon as these words came out, Zabuza and Shiro were stunned on the spot, looking at Chenshin in disbelief. You put on such a big show just to ask such a question. Had he not been able to defeat Chen Tian, Zabuza felt that he couldn't help but strike Chen Tian on the head. For such a trivial matter, it almost scared me to death. It was so simple. Immediately stood aside with a dark face, no longer looking at Chen Tian's hateful appearance. After Bai came back to his senses, a blush appeared on his face. He glanced at Chen Tian and said, I am a man. TCH. He curled his lips in displeasure, and he really thought so. The old thief who created this world is so abominable. Then he said, I have finished asking my questions, you can leave at any time. Hearing Chen Tian's words, Zabuza's expression became even more exciting. He was almost scared to death because of such a thing. It's so embarrassing. I thought so, but Zabuza didn't dare to say it out loud. He still stood respectfully, waiting for Chen Tian to leave first. After walking a few steps, Chen Tian suddenly stopped and said while Zabuza was in a panic, now that the mist in Kurikage village is over, you are no longer a traitor to ninja. That woman Terumi Mei lifted your wanted order and asked Konoha not to take action against you. If you don't want to continue wandering around, you should go back to Kurikage village. I can guarantee that that woman Terumi Mei will not take action against you. Quote. After finishing speaking, Chen Tian ignored Zabuza, whose expression changed rapidly, and left the place. His purpose is to know whether Shiro is a boy or a girl. The girl can be brought back to Konoha, but the boy doesn't matter. Since the purpose has been achieved, there is no need to stay here. I would like to remind you that Zabuza has fully understood the matter of the three tails and gives Terumi Mei an explanation. It didn't take long before Chen Tian returned to Dazuna's house and saw Kakashi teaching three little ones to climb trees and tread water. He came to Kakashi and said, Kakashi, I have already taken care of Zabuza's matter. You wait until the bridge is repaired before going back. I will take the first step. Okay. Kakashi nodded and said, since there's nothing wrong, you can go back first. After saying goodbye to Kakashi and the three little ones, and promising to teach them how to practice once in a while, Chen Tian left knowing the girl from before. At that time, he did not expect that he would regret it so quickly, otherwise he would just take the girl with him. Judging from the girl's skinny appearance, Chen Tian estimated that she would starve to death before reaching the land of fire. Since he is going back now, he doesn't mind taking this little girl with him. After a while, Chen Tian came to a dilapidated house. It was called a house, but in Chen Tian's eyes it was not even as good as a pavilion. Is that you, big brother? Why are you here? The little girl was happy at first when she saw Chen Tian, and then she became wary. Over the years, many people have come to grab things from her, and the house is empty, not even a bench. Touch the little girl's head, Chen Tian said as gently as possible, I am a ninja of Konoha, and now I want to return to Konoha. You helped me on the way before. To thank you, I can take you to Konoha. Quote. The little girl hesitated for a moment, then nodded excitedly after watching Chen Tian actually take out a Konoha Genin forehead protector. She has never been to the land of fire, but she has heard that it is a paradise on earth and no one will go hungry. Konoha is the best place in the fairyland. There are all kinds of good things. You have enough to eat and drink every day and there are things to do. She had dreamed of arriving in Konoha countless times in her dreams, but when she woke up, she was still in this small shabby house. After chatting, Chen Tian also learned the name of this little girl. Her name was Linglong, a nice name. Her father was beaten to death by Cardo since she was a child, and her mother was beaten to death because of civilians robbing food, leaving her alone to survive. Knowing the little girl's past, Chen Tian felt even more pity. He took out a lot of food from his pocket and gave it all to the little girl. After Linglong had eaten and drank enough, he took her to take a bath and bought some nice clothes. After putting on these clothes, Linglong suddenly looked like an exquisite porcelain doll, except that she was a little too thin. In this way, after traveling around the mountains and rivers, Chen Tian and Linglong walked for more than 10 days before returning to Konoha. After getting along with each other all the way, Linglong is no longer afraid of Chen Tian, but gets along with him very happily. Standing at the gate of Konoha, Xiao Linglong opened her mouth wide and was speechless for a long time. Brother Chen Tian, is this Konoha? I have never seen such a prosperous place. How about you live here with your brother from now on? Chen Tian looked very gentle after touching Linglong's little head. This child, who is about the same age as Naruto, is not as good as Naruto in the original work. At least Naruto couldn't starve to death. This child almost starved to death countless times. After bringing Linglong back to Konoha, Chen Tian and Minato took her back to their house. After 2 days of getting acquainted, Linglong got used to the new life, cleaning the room, doing laundry and cooking every day. Even the morning sky couldn't stop her. They were all vying to take action, but they had no choice but to let it go. Seeing the smiles on the little girl's face growing more and more, Chen Tian felt much happier. After living alone for so many years, he feels that his mentality is too aging, almost like an old man. With this little guy here, life becomes a lot more fun. 7 days passed in this way, and Kakashi's team completed the bridge building task and returned as a whole. After handing in the task, the 3 little ones only rested for 1 day and left home early the next morning. Sasuke found Naruto and said, "Naruto, where is Master Chenshin living? Let's go find him quickly." Last night he asked his brother Uchiha Itachi about Chen Tian, and he also learned that this man was Itachi's idol. Having regarded Itachi as his idol since he was a child, he was immediately shocked and couldn't wait to go to Chenshin for advice. Sasuke has unlimited expectations for someone who can make Itachi admire him so much. "Ah, I'm about to go find my uncle. Just come with me. Are we going to find Sakura?" Finally got an opportunity to be taught by Chenshin. Kakashi, Minato, and Kushina all wanted him to go, and Naruto himself also had small expectations. Sasuke nodded and took the lead to walk towards Sakura's house. He had no cruel experience and still cared about his teammates. But after finding Xiaoying rejected the invitation from the 2 of them and was unwilling to go to Chenshin. Although she wanted to be with Sasuke, but with Naruto as a light bulb, she would have to train hard after getting there, so Sakura decisively gave up. Naruto and Sasuke didn't force it, and the 2 of them couldn't wait to rush towards the back mountain of Konoha. After a while, they arrived outside Chenshin's single-family villa. "Why are you here?" Lying in the yard, drinking tea made by Linglong herself, basking in the morning sun happily. Sasuke and Naruto looked at each other, and finally Naruto said, "Uncle, we are here to practice with you." "Hey, you 2 little guys are very diligent, and you still remember my promise." With a chuckle, Chen Tian understood why these 2 little guys came here. But after seeing that Sakura was not there, I felt completely disappointed in her. After experiencing the mission in the country of waves, she actually didn't understand what she should do, nor did she understand the gap between her and Naruto Sasuke. Not to mention the identity of the savior of these 2 little guys, the chakra of Asura Indra, just the identity of Naruto, the son of the Hokage, and Prince Sasuke Uchiha. The resources of the 2 of them are far from what Sakura can match, and the same goes for their talents. Naruto has the physique of the Uzumaki clan, and Sasuke has the blood chakra eyes. How can Sakura compare with others? In this case, Sakura did not cherish this opportunity, and it was already doomed that they would not be able to continue to cooperate in the future. Shaking his head to get rid of all these thoughts, after saying hello to Xiao Linglong, Chenshin took Naruto and Sasuke to the woods not far away. "Since I have to teach them 2 ninjutsu, it may cause damage at home, so it is better to stay away." After arriving at the place, Chen Tian asked, "Do you 2 have any plans for your future ninjutsu? Are there any ninjutsu you particularly want to learn?" Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other, wondering what Chen Tian was talking about. After reacting for a while, Naruto tried to say, "My ninja way is to become a better flame than my father. I want to make Uchiha's glory even more brilliant." Sasuke was not to be outdone. "I knew it was like this." Chen Tian raised his forehead and wailed feebly in his heart. The ninjas in this world all grow up barbarically and there is no systematic teaching. Learn the 3-body jutsu at the ninja school, and learn whatever ninjutsu you see after graduation. In desperation, Chen Tian could only say in detail, "What kind of ninja do you want to be in the future? Is it the type of mage who uses ninjutsu crazily, or the type of assassin who can kill with 1 strike?" After a pause, Chen Tianxi thought of Metkai's figure and said, "Or is it the type of warrior with thick skin and strong body?" This time the 2 little guys understood it, and they lowered their heads and started thinking. No one has ever asked them like this before. They just asked them to exercise their bodies, refine their chakra, and give them appropriate ninjutsu. Watching the 2 little guys meditating, Chen Tian felt anxious and sat down slowly. He actually has a development path suitable for the 2 of them in his mind, but let's look at their own choices first. Maybe it was because Chen Tian was serious enough, or maybe because their parents had been teaching them, the two little guys were very sensible, and they did not make random choices but looked at Chen Tian expectantly. Well, since you have no idea, let me give you a suggestion, but after you listen to this suggestion, you need to go back and discuss it with your parents. The two little guys nodded after hearing this, looking forward to Chen Tian's suggestion even more. This is the suggestion of Konoha's well-deserved strongest man, the Konoha monster who is well known in the ninja world. As long as Chenshin agrees to teach, they don't doubt that people who come to ask for advice can queue up from here to the Kingdom of Water. Let's talk about Naruto first. Naruto, you have the physique of the Uzumaki clan, and your characteristic is that your chakra is very large, almost comparable to tailed beasts. In addition, you also inherited part of Brother Minato's talent, and your learning ability is terrifying. So, your most suitable development direction is the mage type. You can quickly learn a lot of ninjutsu, and your huge chakra can allow you to win with covering strikes. Quote. This is not Chenshin's nonsense. There is no doubt about the chakra of the Uzumaki clan. Their strong learning ability can be seen from the original book where Naruto learned multiple shadow clones at a glance. Although he does not have the 9 tails in this life and his chakra reserves have been reduced a lot, he does not have the interference of the 9 tails chakra and can learn ninjutsu easily. Naruto, who has huge chakra, can completely overcome the shortcomings of not having 9 tails and simply enjoy the remaining advantages. Listening to Chen Tian's words, Naruto gradually fell into fantasy, thinking of himself standing on the spot and releasing ninjutsu infinitely, with the big enemy screaming, and a hint of a fool's smile appeared on his small face unconsciously. Actually, there is one thing that Chen Tian did not say. After Naruto learns the Sage Mode in the future, the power of his ninjutsu will be greatly enhanced. This point can be seen by looking at the power of Morning Sky's ninjutsu and future Naruto's immortal magic Rasengan. After a moment, Naruto finally came to his senses, nodded hurriedly and said, I understand, uncle. After speaking about Naruto, Chen Tian looked at Sasuke who was full of expectations. Knowing that Chenshin was going to give him some advice, Sasuke hurriedly raised his chest and raised his head, making a serious expression. Sasuke, you are of the Uchiha clan, and your blood eye is your greatest advantage, and you must try your best to develop it. The blood chakra eye has many functions, including illusion, copying, insight, etc. But in my opinion, the most important thing is insight. With the blood chakra eye, you don't have to be afraid of illusions. You can rely on your powerful dynamic strength to fight in close quarters, avoid the enemy's attacks and then deliver a fatal blow. Hence, the development direction of the assassin type is your best choice, and you can play it perfectly all the way to the shadow level. After you open the Mangekyo Blood Wheel Eye, you will transform into a Gundam warrior and gain 2 powerful ninjutsu that are unique to you, and the others will have little effect. Quote. Speaking of this, Chen Tian was also quite helpless. No matter how Sasuke develops, he will definitely become a Gundam warrior after opening the Mangekyo Blood Wheel Eye. No matter how well he develops in other aspects, it can't be compared to Susanoo's advantages. It is worth mentioning that the blood chakra eyes picked up by Chenshin seem to be a little special. They are automatically evolving a little bit every day, and now they have turned on the kaleidoscope. That's why Chen Tian was particularly familiar with this point, and that's why he gave Sasuke such advice. Hearing Chenshin's words, Sasuke nodded thoughtfully, thinking about the development direction Chenshin said. After watching the two little guys finish their meditation, Chen Tian said, no matter what you choose, since you are here today, I can't let you go in vain and teach you a ninjutsu each. As he spoke, Chen Tian began to think carefully. All his ninjutsu were instantaneous. He had not formed seals for a long time and almost forgot about them. After a while, he said, let's start with Naruto first. I'll teach you an A-level ninjutsu, fire extinguishing. He demonstrated it to Naruto several times and explained the key points bit by bit. Naruto did not waste Minato's talent. He only taught him 4 or 5 times before he started to figure it out on his own. After doing all this, looking at Sasuke's pitiful expression, he pulled him to the other side. I will also teach you an A-level ninjutsu, Chidori. This was developed by your teacher Kakashi, and it can be upgraded to an S-level ninjutsu, Reikiri. For a time, the sound of thousands of birds rising in the jungle continued, and the thunder in the right hand of the morning sky continued to scurry. Sasuke was a little unimpressed when he knew about the ninjutsu developed by Kakashi, but when he saw the power of this ninjutsu, his eyes immediately lit up. As if it was destined, after seeing this ninja, Sasuke felt like he couldn't take his eyes away. Seeing how interested Sasuke was, Chen Tian smiled and started teaching. After finishing everything he had to do, Chen Tian lay leisurely on the grass to bask in the sun, bored and watching the two of them progress little by little. At noon, Xiao Linglong came over with 3 lunches. Have you eaten? Looking at the exquisite food in his hands, Chen Tian still felt amazing even after eating it for so many days. Linglong shook her head, mine is still at home. I'll pack it up and eat it after you finish eating. Looking at Linglong's lovely appearance, Chen Tian touched her head and said, let's eat together. After speaking, he divided half of the rice in his hand and gave it to Xiao Linglong. Then he shouted to Naruto and Sasuke, you two take a rest first and continue practicing after eating. This practice lasted a whole day, and the two of them went home after it got dark in the afternoon. After returning home, I couldn't wait to tell my parents exactly what Chen Tian said and started discussing it with them. After Minato returned home, he listened to Naruto's story, looked at each other with Kushina and began to think deeply. There is absolutely nothing wrong with what Chen Tian said. Chen Tian used this routine when he was a child, but later he stopped using it when he became stronger. They have all seen the battles of the Morning Sky Fortress Ryu with their own eyes. The ninjutsu one after another was completely irresistible. After thinking about it clearly, the two of them no longer hesitated and nodded in agreement. If you don't take advantage of such a good innate advantage, you would be a real fool. Sasuke's family is in the same situation, especially Fugaku, who 100% supports Asuka's point of view. He turned on the kaleidoscope and knew the advantages of the kaleidoscope blood chakra eye. Before turning on the kaleidoscope, he was a ninjutsu ninja. Although he was powerful, he could not crush him. You can follow Chen Tian's idea. No matter in the early or late stages, Sasuke is undoubtedly extremely strong. With the approval of their family members, the two little guys happily continued to practice the seals. Early the next morning, the two little guys rushed to Chenshin, told Chenshin the good news, and then began to practice according to Chenshin's arrangements. This training lasted for 3 days. After the two initially mastered their respective ninja skills, they were taken by Kakashi to do the task. This mission is to clear out the traitorous ninja. A Chunin rebelled against the village and built a village. Perhaps because the development of Konoha gave him inspiration, this guy actually taught the bandits in the village to practice, adding more than a dozen genin to the village. This time he was hired by a businessman who was robbed. Kakashi led 3 little ones to go out and kill the rebellious ninja on the spot. After a day of traveling, Kakashi took the 3 little ones to the outside of the village. You have all accepted Shaoshin's teachings. I will teach you this time and let me see your progress. No problem, leave it to us. ×2. Naruto and Sasuke stood in a row, their voices full of confidence. Only Sakura looked at the 3 of them blankly, with fear emerging in her eyes. They all know the mission goal, which is a Chunin and a dozen genin. With 3 newly graduated ninjas, aren't they going to die? But before she could refuse, Naruto and Sasuke agreed and blocked her words. After seeing Kakashi disappear, Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other, nodded to each other and said, Sakura, just wait here, we will solve it soon. As soon as they finished speaking, the two of them rushed out without hesitation and quickly entered the village. Enemy attack. Come quickly, there's an attack. Kill them, they are just 2 brats. In less than a minute, a large number of people gathered around Naruto and Sasuke, including the traitorous ninja. The two looked at each other. Sasuke opened his Sharingan and rushed towards the Chunin, while Naruto formed a seal on the spot. With the insight of the Sharingan, Sasuke evaded all attacks and soon came to the rebellious ninja. Arriving in front of the rebel ninja, Sasuke's speed suddenly increased and he avoided the opponent's powerful fireball technique. The lightning in his right hand flashed, and a sound like the chirping of 1,000 birds suddenly sounded. Chidori, swipe. With a sound, Sasuke passed through the rebel ninja's body and stayed behind him. As the corners of Sasuke's mouth turned up, the rebellious ninja's mouth widened and she fell down in disbelief. A hole the size of a fist opened in her chest. Sasuke is acting on his side, and Naruto is not polite on his side. When Sasuke rushed out, Naruto had already completed the seal, and came out in actual combat without mercy. The dozen genin who surrounded him had no time to escape, so they could only forcefully swallow this ninjutsu. 8 of them died on the spot, while the remaining few barely escaped death. But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, the seal in Naruto's hand was completed again, and another powerful burst of fire fell down. Around Naruto's body, endless flames burned. These ninjas struggled wildly in it, but within a few seconds, they all turned into burnt yellow and lost their lives. Sakura at the bottom of the mountain watched with her own eyes as Naruto and Sasuke solved the battle neatly. His mouth was so big that he could swallow an egg. This is one Chunin and a dozen rebel ninjas. How could Naruto and Sasuke resolve the battle so easily? How long did this battle take? From the time the two went up the mountain to now, was it 10 seconds or 20 seconds? It will never take more than 30 seconds anyway. Are these rebellious and weak people? Sakura was sure it wasn't, but that Naruto and Sasuke were simply too powerful. Sasuke and Naruto in the village looked at each other, knocked out all the remaining ordinary people, and walked down the mountain in a swagger. At this moment, Kakashi suddenly appeared next to Sakura, looked at the two of them and said with emotion, "You are indeed a little god, every time the guidance is so perfect." Kakashi-sensei, is Asuka-sama really that powerful? It only took 3 days for Sasuke and Naruto to become so powerful. Sakura's tone was full of disbelief and conflict, because she voluntarily gave up the opportunity to be taught by Chen Tian. Kakashi nodded and said, "Yes, Shaoshin's teaching ability is so powerful, even I have been taught by Shaoshin." As he spoke, Kakashi remembered what the 8-year-old child said to him on the ship returning from the land of snow. Touching the white fang broken blade behind him, Kakashi was glad that he listened to the child, otherwise he would not be as strong as he is now. After hearing Kakashi's words, Sakura's eyes suddenly dimmed, and returned to normal in less than 2 seconds. She didn't take it to heart at all. Kakashi naturally saw all of Sakura's reaction and frowned secretly. Considering that he was a member of his team, he said, "Sakura, when the strength gap between the team members is too big, time will gradually drift away, and you will become a passerby from now on." I secretly hope that Sakura will listen and work hard to become stronger, but Sakura is indifferent. Kakashi suddenly felt uninterested and didn't bother to say anything more. Since he is just a member of the team and not a disciple, there is nothing he can do if he fails to live up to his expectations. "Kakashi-sensei, we have completed the mission." At this moment, Naruto and Sasuke ran over happily, the smiles on their faces could not be restrained at all. This actual battle told them that they more than doubled their strength in 3 days. If they were placed before Chenshin's teachings, the two of them would definitely not be a match for these people. But now, don't be too relaxed, okay? After completing the mission, the group quickly returned to Konoha, and news about Naruto and Sasuke immediately spread. In the Hyuga family, Hinata looked at Hinata, who was practicing hard, frowning and thinking about whether to send Hinata to Chenshin. But how to send it is also a problem. If you are willing to give it to others, you must also be willing to accept it. Although he and Chen Tian have interactions, their relationship is not that good yet. Yes, with a row of slaps, Rizu thought of the time when Chen Tian stood up for the Hyuga clan and led them to attack the Yunying level. Chenshin is very kind to the Hyuga clan. Let Hinata help Chenshin clean the housework. This is the best way to repay Chenshin. Hinata, who was practicing, felt that she had seen the most horrifying scene in her life. Her stern father actually smiled like a fool. In addition to the Hyuga family, many other families have also seen such scenes. But they were not as lucky as Hinata and Hinashi. They had no connection with Chenshin at all, and they did not dare to become apprentices rashly. In the end, I had no choice but to give up this tempting idea. However, there is one exception, and that is the little Tiantian with a round head. This little guy's family is the largest ninja shop in Konoha. He has a lot of money, but unfortunately he can't find any connections with Chenshin. But the next day, Metkai suddenly stood up and said that he could let Chenshin help Tiantian. He knows his own things, that his practice is only suitable for Shaoli. Ning Si can barely teach, but he has no power to do it every day. With the lessons learned from Naruto and Sasuke, it is obviously most appropriate for Tiantian to accept Chenshin's teachings. Besides, considering his relationship with Chen Tian, it wouldn't be easy to send someone away. Early the next morning, Hinata Hiyashi asked Yuhi Kurenai from Hinata's team. Kurenai readily agreed and promised that she would go to Asuka's place often. Rizu knew that Hong Zuiwang's intention was not wine, but he was wise enough not to say it out loud. When he was about to take Hinata to Chenshin, his younger brother Hizashi came to the door, hoping that Neji could also go. Rizu thought for a moment and agreed without hesitation. The three of them went to find Metkai. After finding Kai, he was shocked to find that Kai actually wanted to send Tiantian to Chenshin. Once the several people are together, let's send Hinata, Neji and Tenten there. When there is a mission, they will carry out the mission. If there is no mission, they will practice at Chenshin's place. Chenshin, who was teaching Naruto and Sasuke, didn't know about this yet, and soon Xiao Linglong ran back and told him that someone was looking for him. Xiao Linglong came here not long ago. She didn't know any of these people, and she couldn't tell who they were. Chenshin was a little surprised when he came back. What kind of trouble were these people with 3 children going to make? Rizu and Hizashi wanted to be polite, but Kai pushed Tiantian directly in front of Chenshin, gave a thumbs up and said, "Xiaoshan, this child is a member of my team, but she and I don't have the same relationship. If you agree, I'll leave it to you to cultivate." Looking at those shiny front teeth, isn't Kai the guy at all embarrassed? Chen Tian patted his forehead speechlessly. "I said I don't want to teach, but you let me teach." He didn't even know what happened. These people were rushing to send outstanding students here. Naruto and Sasuke didn't tell him what happened before. Chen Tian felt that his mind was full of confusion and he had no idea what was going on. How could he seem to be a gold medal lecturer? Seeing this, Hidashi hurriedly gave out the reason he had already thought of, and also pushed Hinata and Neji over. Looking at the carefree Tiantian, the shy and blushing Hinata, and the optimistic Neji who has not experienced misery, Chenshin nodded and agreed. Leaving aside Kai's relationship, Chen Tian felt that he should teach these 3 children about their talents to prevent them from going astray. Of course, there is absolutely no shameless reason for Rizu. The excuse he mentioned has no effect on Chenshin at all, absolutely not. After thanking him 1,000 times, Hizu and Hizashi left, leaving only Kai. Without waiting long, Yuhi Hong arranged for the remaining 2 people in her team to come to Chenshin in the name of watching Hinata. Time flies, and a month has passed in the blink of an eye. During this month, Chenshin helped the 5 little guys embark on the path that is most suitable for them. Hinata and Neji are talented, but to Chenshin, they are just that, nothing special. What really surprises Chen Tian is the little girl Tiantian. This girl can make her own storage scrolls and has a strong spatial talent. Although the little girl's talent is not enough for her to learn the art of flying Thunder God, Chenshin's original portable space fully meets the conditions. Tiantian doesn't have any great talent in ninjutsu or physical skills, but he has extraordinary talent in controlling ninja tools. Chenshin spent a lot of effort to help Tiantian build a space of more than 300 cubic meters so that she could store more ninja tools. Only relying on this, as long as the little girl practices well, even an ordinary shadow level may not be her opponent in the future. On this day, Konoha held the joint Chunin examination and invited the other 5 major ninja villages to participate. After so many ninja tournaments, the 5 major ninja villages unanimously agreed to invite this time. The 5 little guys were also summoned back by Kakashi and others to complete a large number of D-level tasks. If they want to participate in the Chunin exam, they must complete a certain number of tasks. Those who have not completed it before can only make up for it now. In addition, these villages also came to discuss the matter of the tailed beast. It has been more than 10 years since they found it. If it weren't for the fact that the Konoha family was so dominant that they didn't dare to act rashly, they would have become one. But no one knows how long this situation will last, so I hope Konoha can help. After the 5 little guys left, Chen Tian was also called over by Minato. "Xiaoshan, the Anbu has found traces of the leader of the death cult. Shangyi, where are you?" Chen Tian clearly remembers the person who almost killed him in the first place and has not forgotten a single bit. Minato shook his head and said, "It's not clear for the moment." The Anbu only discovered their followers in the kingdom of the sun, but did not see the person you mentioned. After a pause, Minato continued. As far as I know, the name Shangyi is fake, and even the face is fake. Minato's expression was also a little serious. As long as there were enough sacrifices to the evil gods, the strength of these people would change every day. More than 10 years have passed now, and no one knows how powerful that person can be. Chenshin's face also looked a little ugly, and asked, "Where is the kingdom of the sun? Why have I never heard of it?" The kingdom of the sun is a very small country, with a total population of only 20 or 30,000 people. It is located on a small island in the sea in the far east. Minato, who has been the Hokage for so many years, knows all about these things and continued, "This island is a bit far from the shore. It takes 2 days by boat, so few people know about it. Give me a map, and I will go and deal with him completely, eliminating future troubles and avenging the past." The murderous look flashed in Chenshin's eyes, and there was also a look of fear. The god of death is difficult to deal with, but it is not impossible to solve it, but that leader is not an ordinary person. Back when his strength was not very good, he already dared to come to Konoha to deceive ninjas and wanted to use ninjas as sacrifices. How strong can he be after all these years? Chen Tian felt unsure. The only good thing is that there are no ninjas in the Kingdom of Sun, and that person can't sacrifice ninjas. After pondering for a while, Minato said, "You can go, but you must bring a few people with you to prevent accidents." I wanted to refuse, but I remembered that without Kai and Hong, he would have been dead for who knows how long, so I agreed. The Chunin exam is approaching, and other villages will come. In order to prevent accidents, the Sannin and Chief Fugaku will stay in Konoha, and let Kakashi, Metkai, and Yuhi Kurenai go with me. Chenshin said this after careful consideration. Kakashi and Metkai are both shadow level, and their combat power is no weaker than anyone else, so they can help. With the help of Chen Tian, Yuhi Hong also has the strength of an elite Jonin. In addition, she has experienced facing the death cult once, so she must be able to play a lot of roles. After pondering and nodding, Minato agreed. Okay, but if the 3 of them leave, it will be difficult for Naruto and the others to take the Chunin exam. However, seeing the morning sky in front of him and thinking that this person was a 10,000-year genin, Minato made an instant decision. Kakashi and the other 3 are going with you, as well as their team. It's time for Naruto to experience something too. Since the beginning of the Chunin festival, Konoha can host 3 or 4 times a year, and you can participate at any time. But this kind of experience is something that can only be met but cannot be sought. There are 2 shadow-level guardians, Kakashi and Metkai, and the unfathomable strength of the Morning Sky Guardians. Unexpected things can happen, and there is no safe place. This is not good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's settled. I'll inform them today and you'll set out early tomorrow morning. Minato interrupted Chen Tian before he could refuse. The thought of bringing 9 oil bottles with him made Chen Tian want to cry, but he could only grit his teeth and bear it. Early the next morning, before Chen Tian got up, a group of people came outside the door. Kakashi, Metkai and Yuhi Hong all came with their teams. Last night, Chenshin sent Xiao Linglong to Kushina. Although Xiao Linglong also started to practice, she was too weak to go with her. So no one was guarding the door today, so Kakashi and Metkai just barged in carelessly. "Xiaoshan, get up quickly and go on a mission. Why don't you go so early?" After complaining, Chen Tian still got up and said, "Wait, I'll be out soon. When I was washing up, I kept vomiting in my heart in the morning, which was better than the alarm clock. Let's go." He said hello to the little guys, rolled his eyes at Kai, and then everyone set off. Among the 9 little guys, 5 of them are practicing with him, and there is one Xiaoying who knows him before, so he doesn't feel strange either. On the contrary, Inuzuka Kiba, Yuru Shino and Xiao Li looked at him curiously and listened to the friends around him telling them about Chenshin's great achievements. After leaving Konoha, everyone's speed immediately increased a lot, and they headed east. Chenshin's portable space contained a lot of hot food, and everyone experienced the best way to travel in history. It took them 2 full days to reach the coastal area. Looking at the endless blue sea in front of them, except for the little guy in class 7, everyone had a sad face. "The sea is so big, how can we cross it? The boats around us can't even do it." Kakashi and others heard the howls of the little guys, looked at each other and gave Morning Angel a wink. Wood escape. The art of luxury cruise ship. Thick trees grew one after another at the foot of the morning sky, and a ship more than 20 meters long and more than 10 meters wide slowly took shape. After the boat appeared, the trees pushed the boat into the sea and then shrank back again, as if it had never appeared. Okay, let's all get on the boat. With a chuckle, Kakashi and others all boarded the boat. Only a few little guys were left standing there dumbfounded, even rubbing their eyes in disbelief, thinking they were dazzled. Mud escape or something, isn't it the most powerful blood inheritance boundary? Didn't the first Hokage appear after his death? Why does it appear here? And as far as they know, Chen Tian is not a member of the Thousand Hands clan, so why would he not escape the line of blood inheritance? Unfortunately, no one gave them any reply, and a few people could only follow them up in confusion. After wandering on the sea for 2 full days, Chenshin and others finally arrived at the small island of Sun Country. Finding a deserted place, Chen Tian drove the boat over, throw Kai off quickly, otherwise he may die on the boat. Qing Tian is a little funny. Kai, who is not afraid of anything, has weak legs after getting on the boat. He vomited in a spluttering manner. Now he can only squirm on the deck and cannot even stand up. Not only Chenshin, but also others were shocked when they saw this situation, completely unable to believe that this was the proud blue beast of Konoha. They rested for a while and waited until everyone recovered before they were ready to take action. Kakashi, Brother Minato should have told you about the specific situation. That person is difficult to deal with and the threat of death is great. You should come up with a plan of action. Chenshin left the matter to Kakashi without any discipline, because Kakashi's brain is really easy to use. Without such a useful brain, he would not have been able to obtain the title of Hatake 50-50, although this did not happen in this life. Kakashi rolled his eyes at Chen Tian, lowered his head in thought, then raised his head after a while and said, "Our information was all from more than 10 years ago, and no one knows the current situation. And there are so many of us, the target is too big, it will be easy to be discovered, especially if there are these little guys following us." Quote. Kakashi said it bluntly without giving the little guys any face. Although Naruto, Sasuke and others were all unconvinced, seeing the stern expression on their teacher's face, they could only roll their eyes and bulge their faces. Glaring at them angrily, Kakashi continued, "The top priority now is to obtain enough intelligence, and the expression cannot be discovered by the other party. So we need to hide these little guys and let a few of us go explore." Quote. When he said this, Kakashi glanced at Kai secretly, and Chen Tian and Hong instantly understood what he meant. K, the green-skinned watermelon head, is too conspicuous. If he is asked to go out to inquire for information, everything will be exposed in minutes, so it is most appropriate for him to stay and watch Naruto and others. Giving Kakashi a clear look, Chen Tian pretended to say, "It would be dangerous if we all leave the little guys. We have to stay and watch alone. Who do you think is the most suitable?" Hong continued very naturally, "I'm not as strong as you, so it's not safe for me to watch over them. Kakashi's detection methods are the strongest, so he has to go out. I can only choose one between you and Kai." Quote. After speaking, a playful smile appeared at the corner of Hong's mouth, and she looked at Chen Tian with interest. This made Chen Tian's mouth twitch. Why didn't this woman act according to the script? Didn't you trick me with this move? Do you want me to stay and take care of the naughty kid? Chen Tian is the only one among us who can fly. He needs to take action when we encounter more dangerous places, so let Kai stay. Fortunately, Kakashi grabbed Chen Tian's hand in time and found an excuse to get through. Kai looked at the 3 people in front of him and talked to each other, and then left himself alone. He opened his mouth, but found that he had nothing to say. After the decision, all resistance forces were suppressed, including Naruto, Sasuke and Inuzuka Kiba. They found a cliff near the sea. Chenshin built a wooden house in the middle of the cliff and asked Kai and the others to stay there. After arranging these people, Chenshin and Kakashi Yuhihong changed into civilian clothes and walked out. After a while, the 3 of them arrived in a small town. But the situation here after entering was beyond their expectations. The people here were not even dressed as the civilian clothes they were wearing. Everyone is almost dressed as a beggar, making the 3 of them stand out from the crowd. Let's go, we are rich people now, find a tavern to have fun. Chen Tian shook his head indifferently. Anyway, it's not like there are no landlords and rich people here, so it doesn't matter. The only bad thing is that Yu Hong is so pretty, and her return rate is almost 100%. After a while, the three of them walked into a sake bar, ordered a few bottles of wine and sat down to listen. Oh, tomorrow is the death ceremony, and I don't know how many people will die this time. This death cult really deserves to die. Shut up, don't you want to live? How dare you say such a thing? At a table not far from them in the morning, two men in ragged clothes were talking in a low voice. Although they were poorly dressed, these two people looked strong and upright. The three people in Chenshin looked at each other and did not act rashly. Instead, they listened quietly. Alas, in fact, you were right. This death festival is held once a month, and each town must have 2 people. There are only 8 towns in total in the Kingdom of the Sun, and 16 people die every month. The population of these people has been reduced by almost half. Quote. His companion nodded in agreement. That's right, it's better for us in the fire country to have enough food and clothing every day, but it's a pity that we can't go back. After saying this, both of them drank wine dejectedly and lost the idea of continuing to chat. But this allowed Chen Tian to know a lot of news. First of all, there are only 8 towns in the Kingdom of the Sun, which is simply pitiful. Secondly, basically all the people here believe in the death cult, and each town will send 2 people to pay homage every month. There are 24 in 1 year, and 240 in 10 years, resulting in an increasingly smaller population. Looking at the situation, these people have not yet repented and are already believing in the death cult. Morning glanced at Kakashi and Yuhi Kurenai, and when he saw their thoughtful expressions of agreement, he made a slashing motion on their necks. Kakashi and Hong nodded clearly, and the 3 of them sat here and started eating and drinking, waiting for the 2 people to leave. After sitting for half an hour, the 2 men left the tavern drunkenly. Chen Tian threw down some money and chased after them with Kakashi and Kurenai. It was not until the 2 of them entered a deserted area that the 3 men from Chenshin appeared and blocked their way. You 2, next we will ask you what to do if you don't obey. Although he hasn't finished speaking, the knife in Chen Tian's hand is reflecting light, and everyone knows what he means. Looking at the knife with cold light, the drunkenness of the 2 people disappeared instantly, and they were sober as never before. He nodded hurriedly, not daring to make a sound, for fear that Chen Tian would take action at the first sight of discord. Seeing these 2 people calm down, Chenshin asked, "Which country are you 2 from, and why are you in the Kingdom of the Sun?" "The country of fire, we are fishermen from the country of fire, and we were captured here. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."